Welcome everyone to Stack Your Points Live, or as we're going to start calling it, Stack Your Live. I'm Matt from the Matt Clausen YouTube channel and the host of Stack Your Points, joined by RJ from Do You Take Cards. RJ, how are you tonight?
I'm well. I actually put out a video, the first one in like 6 months of my own last night, which was very exciting.
It was good. I liked it. I didn't comment on it yet. I'm sorry, but it was good. I appreciate it. It then triggered late night discussion in the Stack Your Points Discord, which was
always
thing.
going to. Yes.
As you can see, we're also joined by Josh. Josh, how are you today?
Greetings. I'm fine. Thanks for having me for Star Trek night.
Absolutely. Yep. As you guys may have seen, we're doing a Star Trek draft. We're going to have the commissioner of the draft explain the draft in just a couple of seconds because it is not me. We're going to go there. I am just basically your host, Matt Millen, for the night, and co-host of the show, Tariq Gaines, with an early nerds. All right, Tariq, we'll see. We see you. Don't know if I appreciate it, but there we go. We're going to be doing a Star Trek draft. We're going to talk some credit cards. We're going to talk stuff. Just avoid life for an evening. If anyone is interested, I am drinking Hudson North tonight. Cider. It is caramel apple cider. So 5% ABV. Hudson North, really good New York cidery. So we'll keep going. Points Precision joining us with a howdy. How's it going, sir? We've got Jason Smith with super needs, but he means nerds. So, as I said, I'm going to turn it over to the commissioner. RJ, please explain our draft.
So what we are doing is we are building a bridge crew out of a bunch of different Star Trek characters across a bunch of shows. So we are doing captain, first officer, operations, security/tactical, chief engineer, with some caveats, chief medical officer, science officer, helmsman, and then a wild card. So you will see there's a couple of people, Spock namely, who's in a few spots. We can only take one Spock. So if somebody takes Spock, he is off the board for everybody else in every other position. We pick the order offline. Josh is going first as our guest, and then Matt, and then me, and then it's a snake draft, so I will go again, and then Matt and Josh, and so on and so on. We have one admiral's prerogative, which means we can take somebody out of their designated type and put them wherever we want. So if somebody really wants Jim Kirk driving their starship, they can take him as the helmsman if they really, really want. So that is what we are doing tonight. We will definitely talk credit cards. You guys can put questions for Star Trek or anything else in the chat. And Vincent is commenting on Josh's amazing Star Trek setup, which I do appreciate. Also, the name of my phone is Voyager. The name of my computer is Enterprise. And the computer off to the side is named the Titan. So you can't see any of that, viewers, but just know that Star Trek is surrounding me and bringing you my feed on this episode.
As someone who has seen the full list of what RJ brings to the table in terms of her home networking, yeah, it's all Star Trek all the way down.
It is, except for Major Tom and Ground Control are my two headphones, because I wanted connection, but to be slightly different there.
There we go. Vincent jumping in with, speaking of the Titan, where's Liam Shaw?
Dead.
So I did struggle with Picard to put Rios or Shaw, and then I settled on Rios because my electric vehicle is called the La Serena, so I tipped it a little bit to Rios.
There we go. We've also got What's the Points? Josh in the house. He also follows up with, the obvious answer is Worf for all positions except engineer, which is Chief O'Brien, obviously. I think I could live with that.
I don't know if I want to see the captain and the first officer get into it if it's Worf all the way down. That might be a scary meeting.
They would challenge each other's honor very often. We've got Double Animal Fries joining us. He says, I see Tariq is strategically in chat versus on screen. Yeah.
Yes.
We may have Tariq join us later. Itachi8660 says, greetings from the Tokaido bullet train. Thank you for joining us from the bullet train. I mean, you're going to be in your destination in about, I don't know, 12 minutes. So we appreciate you joining us. I'm half joking, by the way. If it's Worf as captain, then it wasn't his fault. Yeah, I've never seen someone turn down command more often than, well, I have, but yeah, so there we go. We have laid the groundwork. I think we're going to get started with our first pick of the Stack Your Live Star Trek Build Your Own Bridge draft. Wow, that sounds weird. Josh, where are we going?
Okay. Do I have to pick captain first?
You can pick
You do
whoever you
not.
want.
You can
sir.
pick
All right.
whatever position first you want.
Okay. Okay. So it's like in fantasy football where you don't pick your quarterback first. Got it.
You can.
I mean, you can take whatever you want, Josh.
All
Full
right.
board.
We're gonna go for chief engineer, and we're going to take Charles Tucker III because that man can fix anything.
At
Very
1-1,
nice.
Charles Tucker III from Star Trek Enterprise as your chief engineer for Josh's bridge crew. Any further expanding, or you're just going to keep it there?
Well, I'd like to specify that this would be the alive version. And I don't know, he's scrappy, and he's going to use his 23rd century space stuff and generally having a lack of resources of any kind as to be able to make anything out of nothing. So if we're going through like the Expanse or something, he's got us covered.
There we go. Itachi follows up with, I know, right? If only we had bullet trains back home. Yeah, but
If only.
oil companies.
Yeah.
And the 1950s. So there we go. Real quick from Vincent Pascal, tying it into credit cards. There used to be a Star Trek credit card
Yes.
issued by NASA Federal Credit Union. Yes, there was. I don't remember how good it was.
Awful.
I don't think it was a good credit card, but it was really pretty looking because you could get the 4 pips of the captain on it.
Perfect. As your resident Matt Millen here for the Star Trek draft, I am going to be picking with the number 2 pick. I'm going to go to Strange New World. I'm going to pick the first officer, Una Chen Riley, because Una's just awesome. Number 1 is the way they wrote number 1 for Strange New Worlds and previously Discovery, and the short treks that they did with number 1 and Spock. Whole new visualization of the character, and Rebecca Romijn brings it to life in a way that is just like, I want this person as my first officer. Love that character. Love what they did with her. The stupid control battle, like, she is on top of everything. It is chef's kiss.
I appreciate that there is 2 first officers in that household because her husband voices Jack Ransom from Lower Decks.
That's right. I forgot that she married Jerry O'Connell.
Yes. So he is Jack Ransom. She is number 1. So a pair of first officers.
Very nice. Her ex-husband shows up at the DMV in Dutchess County. I don't know what happened in the relationship, but John still charms the pants off of people, I hear.
Yes. So for my first pick, I'm going to do not the wild card category, but I'm going to do a little bit of a wild card category. I'm going to go with Laris as my security tactical officer, because if you can deal with the Romulans and survive, then you probably can deal with anything else that anybody's getting on that ship. And depending on who my captain is, the ethics might not be a problem. So I am going to go with Laris.
Considering your former Tal Shiar, the ethics definitely shouldn't be a problem.
Solid choice.
Well, for Laris, they won't be. Whoever her captain is and superior officers might be the problem with the
it's
ethics.
fine. No big
It'll be
deal.
fine. What the captain doesn't know doesn't hurt them.
Exactly.
Not the best way to operate a starship, but hey, here we are.
Hey, it's fine.
Depends on what quadrant we're in. We're in. Lord. All right, Josh.
What are you talking about? It's a snake draft.
Oh,
I was gonna
sorry.
say back to me.
Good Lord. All right. That's right. So my second pick, I'm gonna take it off of the board just because I know where I want to go. So I'm gonna go first officer 7 of 9. because look, Seven of Nine is one of my favorite characters in all of Star Trek. Like her growth from Borg drone to what we see in Picard is a hell of a journey. And again, somebody who might have some ethical gray area when it comes to dealing with enemies. So her and Laris will surely get along great
building
if somebody tries the
A
Borg.
Section 31 bridge? Like,
You know, maybe that's what I'm going for. Maybe I'll just grab all of the Section 31. I'll grab the other Bormler, and we'll get really creative up in here.
Ooh. All right, so that's gonna bring up my next pick. We're gonna go to Science Officer, and we're going to take. I'll leave him on the board. So I'm gonna actually go with Jadzia Dax as a Science Officer. She is very much. She's a great science officer for when she gets to do science stuff. When she's assigned to DS9, like she's young but has all this knowledge of the symbiote. So like, I would love to see her A, not dead, and B, like how much further she could take science research on the ship. So she'd be my science pick.
Underrated character, I think.
Yes. And Terry Fall hated that she got killed off.
As would most people. Like that was a great character. I mean, I don't know a ton of DS9, and even I know that character. So, you know, some characters translate. Josh, now I am ready. Your pick, sir.
All right. You got to watch DS9 first of all. Second of all,
I know. I haven't.
Come on now. Let's go. We got our engineer, but we really got to get going on everyone else.
We're 2 picks in, man. Come
on. All right. First officer, give me Riker. I'll go with the safe pick there. I mean, he's Riker. Like he's always the one. He's like, you can't go on the away mission, Picard, and like we need somebody to do that. And he's also like an actual capable commander because he like in his first officer years, you know, he turned down so many commands. He was basically a second captain to Picard, and that second captain and the one that told him don't go on away missions. And so,
in hockey parlance, he would be the associate captain.
Yeah, and he was the captain of the Titan, which is my other computer. So there we go.
Yes, he did eventually take command and do pretty decently.
Yep.
Took him
all right, so first officer all the way down has been closed. We all have our first officers.
Yep. Real quick, we've got Keith joining with When I Grow Up, I Want to Be Picard Cool. I like his vibes. And we've got Jordan Rules of Credit. Jordan, thanks for stopping by as always. Ready to nerd out. Let's do this.
Yes.
So thank you, gentlemen. We'll continue on. Josh, it is your pick for the 3rd round.
Yes, indeed. All right, we have our chief engineer and our first officer. Might go with the captain here. A little bit out of left field, but we need a good captain for the starship. We've had a lot of great officers waste their careers on a ship with a meh captain. So we're gonna go with Janeway for my captain. Because Janeway got a ship across the Delta Quadrant back to Earth, and while she had a little bit of help with temporal mechanics and such, we don't have to talk about it. She still did that, and nobody else has done that. And a lot of really crazy diplomacy that you kind of have to just make appear when you're like, oh, I don't know anybody in this quadrant. And, dodging the Borg and owning them, basically. So, blowing up a transwarp hub is not a feat that anyone else has accomplished, to my knowledge. So,
my favorite captain, personally.
For the record,
mine too.
Josh, you've stabbed RJ in the heart.
You have. I feel like Picard at the moment. I'm gonna have to go to sick bay after this.
Sick bay? You're gonna need a whole new heart.
Yeah, he had to go to. He got stabbed in the heart in the bar.
That
was
by a Nausicaan? RJ's a Nausicaan now?
Yeah, apparently.
Human play dumb job.
We're not using the mirror universe.
Oh,
We
So
did.
Vincent
We did.
mentioned.
Matt and I did briefly talk about that though.
Would be awesome, but no, we're staying out of the mirror universe. Oh, look at that! It's my pick.
It is.
So Josh has picked a captain. I don't think I'm going to pick a captain. I'm torn because I don't want to use my prerogative right now. So we're going to wait that out. We are going to go to Helmsman, and you know what? I don't have my favorite pick for Helmsman here, but I'm going to take my second favorite pick, and I'm going to go back to Strange New Worlds, and I'm going to take Erica Ortegas because
solid.
she is probably the best pilot listed of our options, and probably the second best pilot overall.
She's also sang a musical about her flying a ship.
Yes,
That works too.
I'm going Strange New Worlds heavy, guys. I don't know what I'm doing.
I see that. Wow. Okay. My pick. So I am gonna go. Let's see. Where do I want to go? You know what? I'm gonna follow Matt's lead, and I'm gonna go Helmsman. I am gonna go just because he's a jackass, but he's amusing. I'm gonna go Tom Paris. Like, he got them through the Delta Quadrant. He is the son of an admiral, so they're gonna keep looking for him no matter where he goes. So I'll go Tom Paris.
He got demoted, then promoted.
He got demoted. He got promoted. He's been in the brig.
Dude's done everything.
He made the Delta Flyer. He can program the holodeck. Like, what can this man not do?
With no help from Harry Kim at all.
None.
He's been part of the Maquis. He's
Still a little bit of everything.
Poorly done in the Maquis. Very quickly out of the Maquis. And if I'm gonna go with Paris as helmsman, somebody has to keep him in line. And my first pick for engineer was going to be B'Elanna Torres anyway. So I might as well take them as a package duo and take B'Elanna Torres as my chief engineer. Somebody who, again, had very little to work with in the Delta Quadrant. Can't go to Star Trek home base and just grab somebody.
Nope.
So I am going to go Torres for my engineer, Paris for my helmsman. And then Janeway's not there to demote him. So somebody's got to smack sense into him at some point. So there we go. And Muriel Paris gets to come just because she's not my wild card, but she gets to tag along.
There we go. So that was our snake into the fourth round, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, real quick, we've got Vincent mentioning Paris broke the War 10 threshold and became a salamander.
With Captain Janeway.
And they
Children
abandoned their children on a planet. Salamander children.
I agree, Keith.
Like you do. I like when Janeway sits in the captain's chair, all poised, crossed her legs, and then orders fire on the enemy. It's better than when Picard points and says, engage. Yeah.
Like, is cold. Like, if one captain is going to order just the summary execution of somebody and, like, be justified, it's going to be Janeway. It's going to be. I'm just saying.
All right. We're in the fourth round now. I'm going to go over to operations. I'm going to take the safe pick in operations. Y'all may hate me. I don't care. But I'm going to take data because I want all the calculations done to the billionth degree.
That is fair. Which I
And
believe
Data's just awesome.
goes. Data is data. If you either love data or he bugs the crap out of it. Like, there is nobody who is neutral on data.
Yeah, Data's gonna, when you need his fingers to go really, really, really fast, like, he's there, and he'll get the ship away just in time before they crash into an asteroid or whatever.
Look, the only thing I would take away from Data is his emotion chip because I don't need him singing life forms.
So many little life.
I believe with Data you also get Spot. That is a package deal as well.
Oh yes, you must take Spot.
That's fine, just as long as Spot doesn't evolve from that like weird devolution episode.
Yeah,
one where Barclays turns into a freaking spider. Oops.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Vincent asks what each of you would say to your when commanding your helmsman to go to warp. I'll wait.
I don't know. Engage is just such an easy one.
Fine. I like Pike's Punch It.
I'm a
That is
fan
a
of
good one.
I'm a fan of Spock's. I would like the ship to go very fast. Now.
Also very good.
I'm sorry. Is that Keto's Spock, or is that like? Did
No,
they
that's
let
Strange New World Spock. Yeah.
Oh God! Don't let the young Spock do it. Keith asks, "How can you hate Data? I will unsubscribe from anyone who hates Data."
I
There
do
we
not
go.
hate Data, but I do know people like in my life who Data is not in their top 20 of Star Trek. Let's fly.
That's a good one. Actually.
Yeah.
Hard disagree there. That's a great one. Let's
I'm
fly.
torn just because you got Punch It versus Let's Fly.
I think it's the manner in which it's said, right? Like any like you can give any captain anything if they do it with vigor, right? If they believe in what they're saying.
Yes.
I believe we're up to Josh. Am I
Yes.
correct in that?
Yes, indeed. All right.
We are.
So we've got a captain, first officer, and a chief engineer. It is, if somebody gets sick or gets like an alien disease or I don't know, somebody needs to yell at somebody for having relations with an alien species without getting captain's approval. If your name's Harry Kim and only Harry Kim, because Riker can do whatever he wants, we need a chief medical officer. That was such an obscure reference to a Voyager episode, but I was thinking about it the other day.
I will say it's unknown species is usually the problem. Like if you know that if it's in the database, like Klingons are not. Klingons are not the problem here.
You got you have to worry about other things than getting permission from your superiors if you're Anyway.
Chairs being thrown at you.
Yeah. I'm gonna go. I'm torn between Bashir and the Doctor because Bashir is genetically engineered, smart, and then the Doctor is still alive, probably.
The Doctor lives forever. He is an EMH.
Yes. He can be updated.
Yes.
We're going with the Doctor, I think, just because.
Okay.
Or as he referred to himself in an alternate timeline, Joe. You picked Joe and you spent the last 7-10 years and you came up with Joe. Anyway, did it snake back to me again? Still, we're on that end of the round. Okay.
Yep.
We are.
Start of the next.
Yes.
Okay.
Round 5. Pick one.
All right. So it is now time to go for ops because we got a good chief engineer, but we need somebody else who can do a little bit of everything and get stressed out. We're going to go with O'Brien because he can fix anything as well. I'm surprised he slid this far, honestly. I got to scoop him up. And he's an enlisted man. And we need more enlisted personnel in our bridge crew because not everybody can go to Starfleet Academy. And I mean, I guess they could because money doesn't exist, but yeah. So he gets my choice, and we're gonna do everything we can to make sure he doesn't suffer all the time. Because
that man suffers.
Dude suffers once a season in DS9. Memories implanted in him.
I will say this with Miles. We're now in a post-Cardassian society. We don't need anyone to harbor that much hate because the Cardassians basically no longer exist.
We'll throw them into therapy. It'll be fine.
I mean, the Cardassians, they bounced back, kind of, after a genocide. Maybe.
I don't know if they do, because are they brought up in Picard?
In Discovery, in the future far 32nd century or whatever they are, they have the president of the Federation is a Cardassian Bajoran human hybrid species.
That is a lot of hybrid. That is a lot of slashes in that person's genetic material.
Yeah.
Lots of interesting stuff.
Keith says, if this Star Trek Stack Your Points live isn't at least 3 hours, then I'll be disappointed. Get Keith. I don't know that we can go that long.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll
I'm
see.
unemployed.
This is true. Josh
There's
is
that.
Josh is free for the evening.
We've got time. All right, so Josh went round 5, pick 1. All right, where am I going on this board? I have I have a helmsman. I have a science officer. I have picked my first officer. She was my first pick within draft. I've got a pretty good collection. Now, so many possibilities, so many places. I picked data for operations. That's right.
You did.
I did. So we're going to come back to security. I don't know how I feel about security. You know what? We're going to go to the chief medical officer route. Where are we going with chief medical officer? I'm going to go back to the beginning. I love Julian Bashir. I do. But when you need that much augmentation, you know, I don't know how much I want to trust you. You're very smart, and you do belong at Starfleet Tactical, but I don't know that I want. I don't know that I need you out in. Anyway, we're not picking Bashir. I'm going to go with the OG, the original chief medical officer, and I'm going to go with Leonard Bones McCoy, because he will tell you exactly what he is: a doctor, and that he is not qualified to do literally anything else.
I'm a doctor, damn it.
Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a carpenter. Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a therapist. Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a... You're a doctor. I need everyone to know that you're a doctor at all times.
The doctor does that too, though. A little bit.
Yes, he does.
I'm a doctor, not a doorstep.
I wonder where that bit of his programming came from. Also, fun fact, Julian Bashir was nearly the model used for the EMH. But after they found out how augmented he was, they went, no. You can go be Section 31 ZMH. Vincent mentions, how much are Amex membership award or Chase UR points worth if you're going from Earth to Risa in an admiral's quarters? Oh, boy.
That is a redemption. That is a redemption worth
it. Is this like Emirates the room? Sorry, the Emirates isn't the room. Is this the Qatar Q suites of shuttles that we're doing this run? I would have to imagine they've got to be worth somewhere in the 4 or 5 figure worth.
Now we're using our chase points to book the best Hyatt possible on Risa.
Now, Risa, you have to understand, is a F category, all include resort.
How many Hyatt points would Tariq have to use to get to Risa?
Here's the thing. Risa is so far off the chart that you literally need Gold Press Platinum.
This is very true.
So you need the Amex Gold Pressed Platinum card.
Yeah. All right. It is back to me. Is that correct?
For 2 picks.
All right. I am going to go science officer. I love Tendi. She's like the pirate badass mistress of the Northern Winter Constellation thing, which is such a it's such a Tendi thing. But my favorite science officer that ever got to actually do science was T'Pol. So I think I'm going to go with her. She was also a first officer on Enterprise. So you have somebody who can take over, do science in one hand and like smack somebody in the other. Also was going to be part Romulan, and then the show got canceled. So we didn't get that. Let's see. All right. I think I want to do my captain next. You know what? Josh took a one-of-a-kind captain, so I am going to take a one-of-a-kind captain. I'm going to go with Jonathan Archer. One, I get his dog, which is excellent. And 2, he's sort of the model, right? Like, he was the first captain to captain. So he didn't even write the book because there was no like manual to even have him start. And then he became the president of the thing. So we're going to go with Jonathan Archer as my captain. Very different than Janeway, but I think we'll understand sort of the morally grave crew that I'm apparently putting together in this in this bridge.
You're putting so much tension on this bridge, by the way, with T'Pol and Archer and Paris
Paul
and
Archer.
Torres.
Well, Paris and Torres like are a married couple.
They're actually
with kids,
married, but
so at like that point, I think they'll be fine. She'll just smack him around a little bit when he's an idiot. Like they're fine. Like at this point, they're fine. 709 and T'Pol, I've always said that would be the most interesting conversation because they would say no words to each other and have a completely full conversation with each other, dealing with the idiot crews that they have experienced in their times.
there we go. We have Dugras checking in with a hi, Josh.
Greetings.
Hi, Dugras. We're being nerds for the moment, so
We are back to Matt for the next
back
bit.
to me. All right, Commissioner, if you would be so inclined, can you let me know what areas I still need to pick?
I can. So you need a captain, a security tactical officer, a chief engineer, and a wild card. Josh needs a security tactical officer, a science officer, a helmsman, and a wild card. And I need operations, medical, and wild card.
Okay. All right, so we are going to go to security tactical. Here we go. We're going to go to a newer Star Trek show for this. We're going to go with a Bajoran. We're going to go with an obnoxiously oversized Bajoran, and we're going to go with Shax as my security tactical officer. That man will keep security in line. That man really wants to fire the entire arsenal at all times. That man is unhinged, and I love Shax.
Shax is a great character. A Bajoran with anger management problems is an excellent premise.
Shax, do not fire the torpedoes. Oh.
Dugras, what is the next big multiplier across various ecosystems? Credit card wise, I think Mesa may have cracked it with daycare.
Daycare, medical costs. All of
medical costs is going to be a big one.
Cleaning uniforms.
But he does follow with some Star Trek based suggestions: space travel, vacuum cleaner, repair stores, home robot assistance.
Yes.
I would go with home robot assistance. Yeah.
Dilithium.
It's
like the gas card, you know, they got to get the points.
Now, here's my question. Will purchases of gold pressed latinum be equal to cash equivalents, or would that be like buying gold? I assume buying gold.
Yeah, I would think so.
I'll go with that.
That's fair. All right. So I picked Shax. RJ, I believe it's you.
Is it me or Josh? I think it's Josh because I picked.
Oh, geez, we're
Archer.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. All right. So I still need quite a few things. Okay.
Security, tactical, science, helms, and wild card.
Got it. Alrighty. And I get an admiral's prerogative thing. Yes.
You do. So we all have our admiral's prerogative.
Okay. Could you explain that to me one more time?
So if you want Phlox to be your security tactical officer, it is the admiral's prerogative to put Phlox as your security tactical officer. The first name I saw, so that's the one we're going with for that example.
You can.
He's gonna unleash his.
Should you know? Can you? Yes.
Okay, so I can make things really weird if I want, but
yes,
I can't put Q on my bridge. I can't.
If you want Worf to be your science officer, you can go for it.
So it has to be somebody on the spreadsheet.
It has to be somebody on the board. Yes.
Okay, so I can't make Q on my.
No, you cannot. Bridge. No. I purposely did not include the Qs of the world. Mostly because I didn't want Picard and Janeway to have to fight over Q's attention because he liked to mess with both of them.
Cisco punched him in the face.
He sure did. Dugras likes to highlight that he thought his channel was nerdy. Nope. Welcome to the nerdiness.
Alrighty. So we need a security officer. We got a lot of good things going on, but we need somebody to shoot the phasers quickly when we randomly run into a Borg cube and decide to fight it, because that's logical. Alrighty.
Naturally.
We're gonna go. Could go two different ways here, and I'm not quite sure how I want to go between Worf and Odo.
Nice house.
Uh-huh.
Good tea.
Good tea. Nice house. But I protest. I am not a merry man. All
Captain,
right.
I must insist that I am not.
We're going to go with Worf in a very tight race. Worf is going to be our security/tactical officer just because, I mean, he's Worf. Like,
Yeah.
end of sentence.
With the
And
most important question of the evening.
Keith asks, Josh, which Enterprise and what section is the equivalent of flying economy in the middle seat in the last row near the lavatory?
oh, you're limiting me to Enterprise ship classes, like Enterprise ship designs. Oh, I was gonna say Oberth class.
Class is the correct answer to that question.
All right, but if I'm gonna do Enterprises, trying to think. It might be in the NX-01 where there's like a specific part of the ship where like I think like Malcolm Reed is just like walking through like a turbolift and then he like looks up and he sees Travis Mayweather just sitting on the ceiling and he's like, oh yeah, there's like low gravity in this spot so you can like sit on the ceiling and it's only in this spot of the ship. I learned it when I was on a freighter. So we're going to go with that because you have to sit upside down. Well, I mean, it doesn't look upside down to you.
You can sit upside down.
Yes, and then whenever that gravity situation gets fixed, you fall.
There you go.
Sounds painful.
All right, Josh, your second pick, sir.
Yes, indeed. All right. I was trying to find a way to use my captain's prerogative, my admiral's prerogative to steal Odo and put him somewhere else, but I don't think he would be very good at most other things. Sorry, Odo. With respect. Oh crap! I need a helmsman.
You do need someone to fly the ship.
Someone's got to drive the ship.
You can use your prerogative on a wildcard character who has flown a ship before as a teenager. You can do that.
You could.
But we also tell
Whether
you to shut up.
your captain would
Shut up,
allow
Wesley.
such a thing. Or your captain would say, I'm going to fly the ship because what the hell are you thinking? We don't know.
Also, for the record, you do have a helmsman. You do have a captain who was a helmsman prior to becoming captain.
That's true. We could go with our good friend Sulu.
Well, Sulu's there for the taking if you want him.
This is
Sulu
true.
is a helmsman listed, yeah.
The captain who was a helmsman I was thinking of was Kirk, but
Ah,
Or do you want someone on the bridge who talks
someone's
like
got to fly the ship,
this?
bud.
someone's got to do it. Oh well, I could take Rios and throw him in as a helmsman.
He also has flown ships, yes, that is correct.
Yeah, we're gonna go with Sulu just because he is tried and true, and we know he becomes successful. So
does.
he's pretty good at it, and he's very good at covertly engaging thruster, phasers, locked, and Khan has no idea because a helmsman fires phasers.
Clearly.
Yeah. Why doesn't the con officer do that? Or the tactical officer?
Yeah.
So
With
Matt,
9 of the yep.
you are missing a captain, a chief engineer, and your wild card.
Ooh.
Those are at least 2 important positions.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to continue to ignore the most important position on the ship because I'm looking for value.
Josh and I have already taken captains, so like you get any that
I
are
get
left.
any of them
So
that I
it
want.
it makes it a little easier for you, yes.
This is true, but I'm
I'm
just
gonna
like
steal a
looking for the
captain
most.
just because you said that. I'm gonna steal a captain.
I kind of want to steal a captain as well for a wild card, but we're not going to do the wild card yet. You need a chief engineer. You do. So I'm going to go with chief engineer. You would think that I would go more newer Star Trek, but I'm not going to pick Rutherford. I'm not going to pick Hemmer because, well, Hemmer dies. You can't be the best ability is availability, and you can't be available when you're dead. So I'm going to it is up between 2 characters. It is up between Geordi LaForge, who will tell you how long something is going to take and still need data to fix it, or Montgomery Scott, who is also going to tell you how long it's going to take, but he's going to somehow meet the mandate well before. So I am going to go with Montgomery Scott, just because I'm going for sheer chaos in my build of an enterprise of a starship deck. Scotty knows what's up. Oh, and in a pinch, Scotty can just be in charge of the ship.
How much headache medicine are you giving number one to have this as the people reporting to her? Because I feel like she's going to need a hyper spray to deal with the crew beneath her.
She's got bones. It's fine. I didn't say which version of bones it is. So like I could at least make it Carl Urban so she's happier.
This is true.
We didn't say what version.
All right.
Vincent, by the way, chimed in with a deck 42 on the Enterprise D would be the equivalent, or deck 29 on the Enterprise E. These are decks that always get destroyed no matter what happens.
Yeah, that's why Josh unfortunately will be sitting there because. All right, I need operations, medical, and a wild card. I am going to use my Admiral's prerogative.
Okay.
On my wild card. Because with the bridge I have, we need someone who has connections everywhere. And the person who has seemingly the most random connections while also being an ensign for most of the show is Beckett Mariner. Like the daughter of an admiral,
True.
the daughter of a captain, knows like everybody in Starfleet ever. So I'm going to take as my wild card Beckett Mariner, just because she would be hilarious to just watch interact with anybody else on my crew. And she probably knows half of them and served with them in some capacity. So I'm going to go with Beckett Mariner for my wild card.
There we go.
Operations. So I can go like the Raffi way where she is operations, but she is a very different type of operations than like a Harry Kim operations. Operations is such a wide open field that so many people can fill that role. I could go Boimler. Those are really the only 5 options we have, and 2 of them are taken. You know what? I'm gonna go for chaos, and I'm gonna go with Raffi because again, her and Laris would have a lot of fun just destroying people, and there's no drugs on the ship, so we don't have to worry about that little substance abuse problem she has showing up. So I'm gonna go with Raffi.
You really did build the Section 31 bridge.
I did not go into this thinking Section 31.
Sure.
And yet, this is where I am.
We've got the Section 31 build. Vincent Pascal, if you pick Odo, he can morph into anyone else on the list when you need a data or warp. Yes, but he also doesn't bring their skill sets, though.
No, he just looks like them, which I'm not sure.
That's fine. That's all he needs to do, you know?
I mean, looks is like 70% of what you need. Okay, so I'm down to captain and wild card.
Correct.
All right. So I'm going to go with captain. He's here. He's available. I feel like he and this number one would get along famously. It is not going to be Christopher Pike. I would love for it to be Christopher Pike, but
you can have him. Picard, he's on the board.
I might, but I feel like Jean-Luc Picard and Una Chen Riley is an interesting combination. Not necessarily for max chaos, because I've taken care of chaos the rest of my build.
Yeah.
But I feel like between Data, Picard, and number one, they would have very fascinating philosophical discussions amongst each other when not dealing with the rest of the chaos that I've thrown at them.
Is it?
So I will go.
Didn't Whoopi Goldberg play the same race as number one? Like, aren't they both Elorians?
Yeah, Elorians.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that they end up making her an Elorian.
Yeah. She gets, like, so another good Picard connection.
Yes. They are further than family. Although I don't know if that goes between Elorians, but he knows an Elorian. He knows how Elorians operate, and they're very anti-Q.
I can't believe that they spoiled, like, in the trailer for Strange New Worlds, they spoiled like her like coming back, like because she got taken away to go on trial for being genetically engineered or whatever.
Yep.
And then in the trailer for the next season, that she was just there. So brought back.
I'm back.
It's like, oh, I mean,
Who
kind of
knows?
had a feeling, but also like could have made us think about it for an episode.
Josh, you need a science officer and a wild card, sir.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, let's go with science officer first. Now, who do we have here? Who's left?
What do we have here?
Ooh, okay. I think I know. I'm gonna go with Saru. Saru is an incredible scientist, and he can also step in as a commander if we're something's gone really badly and everybody else
You're a
is
science officer captain.
incapacitated, and he's also a good diplomat, so he could do quite a few things that are not quite sciencey, but I promise he's also a good scientist.
There we go.
We just don't see it very much anymore. So yes, Saru, and also if you need somebody to like roar, I guess he could do it.
Sure.
That's not a Klingon, and he also like shoots spikes sometimes.
As we all do.
He's a Kelpian. I mean, like they do some stuff. There's a reason why they were the predator first. All right, so I need a wild card.
You do.
Indeed.
Let's look at the list here. Seven Divine is also a wild card. Oh.
So
She
we can only take
but
so we can only take one character, each character once. So
Got
7
it.
of 9 is off the board.
She's gone. That's
Yeah.
that's fine. I wasn't gonna take her.
did you use your prerogative?
I have not. I was saving it for
He's
this.
Okay.
Hmm. Scanning through the entire list.
Wait, who took Rios as a?
I don't think anybody.
Nobody
did.
took Rios.
Okay.
Guess I'm taking Rios. No.
You can.
No.
I mean, he'd be an interesting wild card for either of you.
All right. We are going to go with. How long can Josh drag this out? I think we're gonna go with Odo, just because every starship needs 2 security officers to clash with each other. 1 Starfleet, 1 Bajoran militia.
Naturally.
And also, we need more people to go like this when they're punching people. So, I don't know. Also, he'd be good for like diplomatic situations where he can just like pretend to be somebody else. I am Worf, commander of the Enterprise.
Here we go. Matt, you are down to a wild card, sir.
So I will be using my prerogative here, and I'm going to go back to the captain's list because I feel like I want a little bit more experience on this ship. A little je ne sais quoi. So I'm torn between the literal god at the end of the series and probably the coolest captain on the set, which would be you know what? No, I'm going to go with neither. I'm going to use my prerogative, and if Cristobal Rios is still there, I want to use Cristobal Rios because that dude is resourceful as hell.
Yes.
So you need if you're going to have a wild card on deck, you need somebody who can just plug and play a whole bunch of different things. So I will use my prerogative. I will pick Cristobal Rios. I was going to pick between Pike and Cisco, but no, I'm going to grab Rios.
Does he
Makes
come with his army of holograms?
I really hope so, and if he doesn't, I'll be very disappointed.
I will allow the army of holograms as part of the package.
Yes.
just to make Matt very happy. And it is my final pick, and it is my chief medical officer, and I am torn between Dr. Beverly Crusher and Tiana just because of maximum chaos with a giant cat lady who might be going over to Matt's ship to play with Shax every once in a while in some very weird holograms.
Wow.
I think for the sanity of my ship, with the people on this ship and the fights they might get in, I'm actually going to take Beverly Crusher because, again, apparently I got a Section 31 thing going on, and Crusher did some weird stuff after Next Gen ended. So we're gonna go with Crusher. Because apparently I'm putting together the Section 31 bridge of my dreams, which this would be a really interesting Section 31 show.
I kind of want to see that Section 31 show.
Not
So,
to be confused with the movie that was something.
oh, did that come out?
Yes, it was
Oh.
mildly terrible.
Hmm.
I watched it because it's Trek, but man,
I've watched a
It's
lot
like
of Trek because it's Trek and it's terrible. So
It's a half checked out Michelle Yeoh. It's not what they initially envisioned.
they also just had a very stereotypical Irish Vulcan somehow.
Irish Vulcan, huh?
Yeah, I used an Irish accent, and he was being very like exaggerated. But it wasn't actually a Vulcan. It was like a little alien inside the Vulcan. Yeah.
So we're gonna check in with Vincent's question, who again, 11 of the nerdiest people on the internet. Thank you so much for sticking around, all 11 of you. We've seen dips, but thank you everyone who's sticking around. Vincent says, if Quark time travel to the 21st century, which credit cards would be in his wallet? RJ, you're muted.
The gold card, simply because it's gold.
So he definitely.
I know very little about Quark, so that's all I got.
Well, so he would definitely have the gold card because gold press platinum and Ferengi. But he would also, I think he would try to get a card. He would always have a 0% APR card in his wallet at all times, like cycling through them constantly. And he'd use it to scale up inventory in Quark's bar, and he'd like pay on the last possible day to maximize profits. And I think he would also be the type of person to have like 4 custom caches.
He'd be somebody who commented on Matt's videos, and Matt would just feel the rage build on every comment.
How dare you?
Matt, I did send you a copy of the picks for all of us, if you would like to put that up.
Perfect. There we go. We're going to open the link. All right, so we're going to stop sharing this one. We're going to close this one. And we're going to come back to present. Now, if Quark traveled, I do like the 0%, constantly cycling 0% cards. That is very, very Quark. I also feel like he would be cycling business cards. Like there's no tomorrow.
He would be on the ink train.
Yeah.
Oh, he would be the reason that the ink train gets destroyed. So we are sharing our picks across the results of this draft. Captains, we've got Catherine Janeway for Josh, Jean-Luc Picard for me, Jonathan Archer for RJ. First officers, William Riker, Una Chin Riley, and 7 of 9, respectively. Operations, Miles O'Brien, Data, and Rafaela Musker. Security, Worf, Shax, and Larix. It's amazing that security officers only get one name ever. Nobody could bother with Tasha Yar. Again, the best ability is availability.
Yep. We would have made them alive if we picked them. We wouldn't have gotten it.
They're canonically
a dead person.
Budget. Chief engineers are Charles Tucker III for Josh, Montgomery Scott for me, Bolano Torres for RJ. Chief medical officers, the Doctor, Leonard McCoy, and Beverly Crusher. Science officers, Saru, Jadzia Dax, and T'Pol. Again, if you're a science officer, you really only need a moniker. Helmsman, Sulu for Josh, Erica Ortegas for me, and Tom Paris for RJ. And our wild cards, Odo for Josh, Cristobal Rios for me, and Beckett Mariner for RJ. Beckett Mariner is a closet, like, really good pick.
Like she is that pick where you just like you're in the middle of a situation and you're like, but we need to contact this person that none of us knows. And Mariner's like, oh yeah, we were roommates for like a semester. I was on this random planet, and you're like, but aren't you like 26? No, I'm like 42. Why do you ask?
Yeah, Captain Freeman is really like in her 60s or 70s in the time of the show. Vincent mentions that Prodigy is a well-done series. It is.
Love Prodigy.
I have not seen it yet, and
excellent show.
I need to watch.
It is not just a kids show, you know. It's very well done.
But it's also the reason that we don't get Janeway for the last season of Picard, so it's kind of like
yeah, Janeway not being there at the end of Picard is one of my biggest pet peeves with that show. In a show that has so many pet peeves.
Yeah. Keith asks, which Star Trek character would you like to have a drink with?
Ooh, Beckett Mariner. Like, legitimately.
That's a good pick.
I can't disagree with Beckett.
Like, also, I really the show never answered why she has a different name than both of her parents.
Yeah.
And I never understood why the show just didn't be like Mariner's her middle name and she just goes by. Like they couldn't have just said it once. But whatever.
Mariner's a really good one. I would pick O'Brien just because, like, dude's seen some stuff.
Have a sit with O'Brien.
He is also so stereotypically Irish in that show that he is cordoned all of it off. He has like some people have a mind palace. He's got like a grief dungeon that he just puts everything in.
Yeah.
He doesn't remember anything because it's just all locked away in this grief dungeon. So he can't answer any questions on how anything happens except for how he presses the button to energize you.
He does more than that.
That's the only thing he remembers. Everything else is locked away in the dungeon.
Which is weird for his progression in DS9 and like what he does on the other ship, which I'm blanking on.
The Defiant.
Yes, the Defiant. Thank you. No, but I think Mariner is the most jovial.
She would be the most enjoyable to have a drink with versus like, tell us about your trauma. They'd be therapy sessions.
Yeah. Keith follows up with, I'd like to see how much Scotty could actually drink. You get a sense of that in the TNG episode where he hates everything being presented to him until Data presents him something that is green.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
There's also a TOS episode where he is just drinking a Klingon under the table.
They're also like, most of this is synthol, right? Like once you get into at least next gen, it's all synthol. It's not actually alcohol anymore.
Oh, it still gets you drunk.
But it wears off a lot faster than.
Or you can like take a hypospray and be good to go.
Yeah.
I think you probably have to be, if you're serving on a starship, like lots of things could go wrong.
Especially if your shift starts at
all the time.
All the time. What a weird monster of the week concept.
I'm trying to think of who I would sit down with. My first thought was Garrick, and then I was like, that's scary.
Yeah, if there's bulletproof, like phaser-proof glass between you, maybe.
I would have lunch with Garrick.
I'll
have Bashir Garrick lunch.
The trouble with eating with Garrick and the trouble with drinking with Garrick is that Garrick will lead you down the road that Garrick wants you to be down. And you're never 100% sure. I mean, you could probably roll with it.
I mean, Keith, apparently his wine is really terrible because every time he's presented somebody with a bottle of his wine, they tell how terrible it is.
It's just everything went south after his brother died.
This is true.
All right, some more credit card stuff. We can do some credit card stuff. Sour mead. Ooh,
Yeah.
I do like a good sour mead. We can talk credit cards. We can talk other things. Josh, I know you've been a little checked out on things, but have you seen what's happened with Southwest lately?
The whole we're gonna start charging you for checked bags.
Yes.
Oh yeah, so like, if anyone flies Southwest after this, you just like hurting yourself. There's no more
Wow.
excuses.
Josh is not
This coming from the
tonight,
man
y'all.
who sits middle seat, back of the plane.
I'll have you know, I flew basic economy, not basic economy, regular economy. I flew regular economy, and I was near the middle of the plane, and I was in an aisle seat. And yes, it's because it was a 2x2 plane. That minor details. I mean,
Do planes actually have more than 5 rows? I haven't gone back that far in so long that I don't remember.
I was once.
I mean,
in
there's
row
wide bodies that
50-something.
do 232. Oh,
Yeah.
you meant like the number of rows back. Yeah.
I was making a first class joke.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. If
So,
Tariq's still
Josh.
around, we can always add Tariq.
I have an actual like credit card and business question for you,
Oh,
because I know
yes.
that you're doing business things now. You're an entrepreneur. You're working with your partner on things. Do you have a different sense of business cards sort of in the middle of building this business now than you did sort of before? Like we talk, I was saying to
Yes.
somebody earlier, talk about business cards as like personal cards with some different benefits, but we don't really talk about business cards as business cards in this community, right? So
Yeah.
now that you are doing businessy things sort of more full time, do you have a different sense of the business cards?
Yes, definitely. First, I'll say it's a lot more complicated now that I'm actually using them for their intended purpose. Because I have a bunch of business cards already that are tied to like my social, or I have an EIN for my YouTube channel, but we don't have one set up yet for our business. It's a whole dance of, we're like dancing with unemployment right now. We're both unemployed. We're reporting the income, the net income that we're making. Like we're doing it by the book, but I'm almost certain that forming the LLC will completely kill our benefits, and we can't really afford for that to happen yet. We will still take the reduced benefits that they're giving us. Anyway, so we haven't done that yet, but as a result, like we have like, it's just a lot more difficult now because we have a bunch of different cards, and we have to use like one person's credit profile for them now because we don't want to have two, different parallel businesses running, if that makes sense, because that could be bad. And I'm gonna have to do this whole business card thing all over again once we get the LLC up and running. So yeah, I think just like the complexity of it is also an issue, because before I was like, oh yeah, I'll just get like 5 business cards and get a bonus and then never look at them again. But this is much different. We also have to worry about like our credit limits, because we have a ton of spend for the business, because we buy inventory and then resell it, right? And when US Bank gives me a $3,000 credit limit, like I maxed it out that day. And I'm, it's just a lot different, I think. I'm definitely using those cards way more than I use any other, like way more than I'd use a personal card. I guess that's kind of what they're there for. So a lot of experimentation and a lot of frustration, I think, is my answer.
Yeah, I imagine have you looked, I remember in the chat, we talked a little bit. Have you looked at the Plum at all from Amex because that is
Yes.
such a unique, different card as far as business
Yeah.
cards go.
Yes, I thought about it, but I think Keith said something in the Discord. I don't know if Keith, you're still here or not. About like it's really only like an extra 15 days to pay. I think it's like 60 days after, within 60 days you get like flexibility to pay after your statement closing date, and then with like a normal card, it's like I don't know, like a month or whatever, not 45. I don't know why I said that. So it's not like, or maybe it's a month and 45 days. I'm getting my numbers mixed up, but it's not a huge difference to the point where I'm willing to pay like whatever the annual fee is for that card. And you only get the rewards on the purchases if you pay within like 2 weeks or like a week of your statement closing date anyway. So it's like, I don't know.
It's just such a pretty card. Like
It
it is a beautifully colored card and different than most other cards. I think the Attune's the only one that comes close to being that like
it's
color.
plum.
It is plum. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna cycle through. Hate to say it, but we're gonna get Chase Ink. A Chase Ink card is gonna be our first LLC card under the LLC, because I'm gonna be dropping below 524 soon, and they have 0% interest offers, and that's really what we need, because we cycle through so much inventory all the time, but it doesn't always sell like within a month of purchasing it, right? Sometimes we have things that take like 2 or 3 months to sell, and I would much rather Chase put up the money than me, like, for these things.
Has your view of ecosystem changed at all? Like I'm sure that you're wanting your ecosystems to be consistent with your personal side, just so you can use the points. But as far as like, I don't know how big you are in Amex, but something like the Blue Business Plus, right? Like that's a really solid card, easy to use card.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much you're into Amex, right? And that has the 0% APR.
Yes.
So is that a thought for you?
Yes, it is. Amex and Chase, they're kind of the defaults because they have so many 0% offers and they have high earning cards. Well, Amex in particular with like the Blue Business Plus. We spend a lot in like what would probably be uncategorized spend for most cards. So rather than just getting 1x on everything, like I'd like 2. The only issue I think is the spend cap is like 50K a year in spending for the 2x. I didn't think we were going to reach that, but now I think we are going to go above it for the year. If we were to get a Blue Business Plus under the LLC, because I have one, but I'm going to close it because I don't use it for anything, and I've like totally flipped my script on using business cards for anything but business purchases. Shocking, having a business and then trying to use other business cards for like maybe not business purchases, everything gets very complicated very quickly. So I am ready to just kind of let go of that, and for personal spend, like I'll use a different catch-all. But I don't have a ton of uncategorized spend on the personal side anyway, so it's cool. Amex, I think, is going to be our number one target, though, just because if they let me out of jail, they threw me into pop-up jail on both sides now, and like that's a little concerning. Probably because I used a no lifetime link, but it's fine. And they have so many of those offers floating around, and obviously it's like use them at your own risk, and maybe don't do it for every card you have, but they're throwing things at us, and I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of points, and it's a really high spend. But wait, we buy that much in inventory every month anyway, or in 2 months. Like we knocked out the Business Platinum offer in a month and a half, and that was 15,000 spend for 250,000 Amex points. So membership rewards.
And the nice thing about that Business Platinum is if you do book airlines through the portal with Amex, you get 35% of your points back. So flying to different cons, different events, that could add up real fast for you guys.
Kind of
in theory.
Unfortunately, I that's another one that I like. We're gonna have to like restructure everything because that one is connected to my social. Unfortunately, so get another one for the business under the LLC and EIN. So, but yes, it is good. I unfortunately selected United as my airline, so it's not gonna do us much good because we a lot of the like conventions and like meetups and stuff that we have planned like Delta is the airline that'll get us there. Except for this last one. Thanks, Delta.
Well, if you get a second Amex Platinum, you can pick a different airline, and then you've got both options open to you.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Hi, kid. I see you in the chat. But yeah, I'm always interested because that is something that I struggle with how the community treats business cards, right? Because like I have business cards, like I am not, sinless in this, thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I have business cards. Everybody has business cards. Kid says the business reserve, Delta Business Reserve is loading for you already. But everybody, it seems like, quote, everybody in the community utilizes business cards, right? Like if you're in Amex, it's very hard not to get the Blue Business Plus, right? Because that is a card that just is so powerful for what it is, but it is a business card and you do have to understand that. And for me, who has like the business of YouTube when it comes to, things like that, it's not super hard for me to separate things, the very little I separate, where, for you or, somebody like Keith with a real business out there, these are much more important. So I'm always interested when people make that transition, how that affects their view of the business side. What's your most used personal card now? Did that change up and down your wallet after things?
Honestly, it's I don't really know because I'm unemployed right now. My partner's unemployed right now. We're not doing a lot of spend at the moment. It's really like to speak of personal spend. We're doing a ridiculous amount on the business side, but personal spend, like, I don't know. We're trying to keep it as low as possible. I mean, it might be the stupid bill card, just because I still have to pay rent. But we have gotten quite lucky. I got like assistance from like people affected by like government actions, to say the least. And so like I have like a gift card to my local grocery store, and it's going to last us a while. So that was my biggest category, but it's now been taken care of for a couple months, because the regime. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So
for reasons.
Yes, for reasons. But other than that, though, like I still like have a pretty high transit expense, just because I'm still going places, and unfortunately, I have to go during like peak rush hour, so it costs me like $10 round trip, and I have to do it at least once a week. It's so stupid. But I've been using a lot of cashback cards because I'm not in survival mode, but I'm in this is bad mode. So I've been trying to find savings wherever possible. So customized cash rewards cards, I have 2 of them. They get a lot of use. I've been using my Altitude Reserve some more, for kind of anything that doesn't fit the categories. So
have you, as sort of you're doing this, right? We talk about on the podcast how things change, right? Our strategies change as things change. Have those annual fees? I know it's what, $400 on the Altitude Reserve. Have some of those annual fees, as they creep up, sort of been like, I use this card and I want this card, but do I want this card right now? Sort of feeling. Are you having those sort of negotiations? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
No. It's actually good. My therapist told me to talk about it with people. I mean, it's more like just me like, oh, we just paid that annual fee, didn't we? And I think I might, haven't decided yet, but I already paid the Altitude Reserve fee, so I'm gonna keep it for a year, but I might probably change it away from it just because I don't know how much I'm spending to make up that difference between the travel dining credit and the $75 difference at 3x. Somebody did the math for me a while ago. I'm too lazy to do it right now, but I don't know if I'm going to hit that. Even though most like sign-up bonuses that I'm doing are being on the business side for the next year. So I guess we'll see. Or also like probably keep the Venture X. I'm gonna keep it just because like it's easy for us to get value from it without really having to without really trying too hard. It works for us still. We'll probably cancel the Business Platinum, the current one anyway. That's going to get canceled. Gold is going to get downgraded, but that one go up and down, whatever. But yeah, definitely. Even though I've budgeted for annual fees and stuff, when life happens, it's really easy. That all comes back right in front of me, and I think so. I'm definitely taking a hard look at all of my annual fees because it's not. Even though I like to justify it and spin it around like we all do, right? It's still for me. It's still I still consider it a want expense, and not working on I'm not focusing on wants right now. So
yeah. No, those sorts of changes, however they come about, needlessly, can definitely refocus things. But it at least sounds like you set up for it, certainly. So,
oh yeah,
that definitely helps. But yeah,
definitely doing way better than a lot of people are right now. Because they didn't think that they'd be thrown out of their job.
Yeah,
and we did say Keith's trigger word. Yes, Keith, we did say built.
And
we did. I'm interested, you right now in the mode you're in, right, with built. Does any of the background noise matter, or are you just I get points for paying my rent? I don't care about literally anything else in this program right now.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I'm it's not even points. I'm just oh, cool. I can afford to pay my rent this month. Where that's kind of where I am.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in that situation from previous. I used to live campaign cycle to campaign cycle to campaign cycle. It's right. The interregnums between campaigns was always just a survival. All I care about, did I pay my minimum? Cool. Did I pay more than my minimum so that I have a little bit of spending capability? Because when you have no money coming in, it's a pain. Now, not to make light of this current situation.
Totally understand.
Or anything like that. But when it was me, between campaigns, it was always just all right, I'm going to float myself. I still want to go do things that I probably shouldn't. But once you got on that next campaign, it was okay. Now I've got a little bit of breathing room. Now I can fix this a little bit, and then you're right.
It's a vicious cycle. That's why my partner has decided against going on campaigns.
Yeah, you could join a consulting firm, which that's fair, but I also just want to burn all the consulting firms to the ground.
You can get a consulting firm, go back to the 90s, grab all the paperwork from the 90s and just reuse it. And at this point, they'll realize this sounds great.
Yeah.
So it works, Yeah.
I wish I could join a consulting firm, but those jobs already dried up.
I'll reserve comment for a future channel.
But how are you are you consuming any content sort of outside of are you watching any YouTube? Are you watching anybody's show? And I'm not asking if you're watching Matt and I. That's not what the question's for. I just sort of meant in general, are you completely disconnecting from credit cards, or are you just oh, this is interesting, let me watch this so I can not think about the existential crisis of living in this world right now?
I'm really active in credit card discords and stuff, but I haven't watched a credit card YouTube video in a couple months. I also haven't made one in a couple months. Shocker. And I don't know. I've had a lot of other things go on in my personal life that has made me spiral a bit. So I'm just figuring it all out, and I also I like unplugged from a lot of other like social medias too. Like I deleted all my personal social media except for like Discord and Reddit. So I've really disconnected from a lot of things, and some of it was intentional. YouTube was a little less intentional, but I still like hanging out in the Discords and stuff, and that's where I get like the majority of like my credit card news and stuff. I'll see like one of Matt's thumbnails and be like, oh, okay, so there's something happening there. That's all I need to know. Next.
I feel like 95% of credit card YouTube just waits for Matt to drop a video instead of actually like going onto Reddit. Like there are days where I'm just like, I cannot deal with credit card Reddit. I'm just going to wait for like something has happened. I'm going to check the Discord. I'm going to wait for Matt to do a video. And then my research for the podcast I do with Matt is watching Matt's videos. So it's very handy to have Matt just give me the news that I'm going to talk about on the podcast with Matt. It's great. It's a nice little feedback loop I got there.
You know, I have hubristically said in the past, like I'm your favorite credit card YouTuber's favorite credit card YouTuber, but like there are times where it definitely feels that way.
No, you were the newsman. You were the Walter Cronkite of the credit card community. You're just like you were the newsman.
Those are shoes to fill.
It's I believe that you can fill those shoes, Matt.
Appreciate it. We're behind on comments, so just running back a little bit. Keith mentioned that Tariq joined Southwest program, and then it all went downhill from there.
Come on,
literally.
And then he decided he was going back to United, and all the United changes happened.
Come on, man.
Here's what I'll say about Tariq, and I've said this to his face, so I am not talking out of school. If you fly as little as Tariq does, you don't need to have an airline partner. Love you, Tariq. I have said that to you, so I'm not talking out of turn, but I've said this to you, sir.
Rodrigo asks, how can I get the United Explorer card? Well, over 524.
You cannot. I tried.
Make $5 million a year, and I'm sure they will give it to you.
Yeah. I applied for this actually for the Explorer, and I thought I was below 524. But then there's a lot of inconsistency among it, but the rep said that I have to apply. Well, I have to call Recon again on the 1st of the 25th month. So that's what I did. That's how I got approved. So answer, don't even try. But if you're like close to it though, I would consider following that. So you don't have to deal with like angry customer service person yelling at you.
Also, if you happen to get a mail offer seems to be the golden ticket.
Kind of like
so. If you can get a mail offer, great. Email offers less so, I think, but typically, if you get something in the mail, you're usually pretty good. I get loan offers in the mail, and they're not particularly compelling because they're exactly the same interest rate that I'm paying, and I don't want. That's not the point.
Right.
Keith mentioned it depends on if it's a charge card or credit card. They have different cycles. I think when he was talking about we were talking about the Plum,
that makes more sense.
Yeah, the Plum is definitely a charge card, but if you pay it early, you get rewards. But if you pay it on time, but it gives you that breathing room to pay on time, and go from there. We had Kit Kat jump in. Craig, he said, "Hey everyone," and followed up with, "Just use the Sapphire Reserve's Lyft credit. It was seamless, but he misses my card's extra 5 times UR points."
What happened?
So the Lyft benefit.
I'm out of it, guys.
Yeah.
No, so the Sapphire Reserve used to be 10 times Lyft.
Yeah.
And you got 2 years of Lyft Pink All Access and a third year at 50% off. That has changed. So if you signed up for the Lyft Pink All Access, you keep the Lyft Pink All Access. That's, they're not going to change that at the moment. But but it is changed now to a 5 times points earning on the Sapphire Reserve. You'll get 5 times points on the Sapphire Preferred. The Sapphire Reserve now gets a $10 monthly credit because Chase is copying Amex.
Here it is.
Chase is not copying. Amex is not the only company that does monthly credits.
No, they're just the progenitor.
It's fine. Monthly credits are fine unless you have 15 credit cards, which is not what any of these banks want anyway.
Right.
Yes. I will say when Citi does a monthly credit, they do a monthly credit. They're going to be doing more monthly credits probably. I have no idea what Wells Fargo is going to do with the Autograph Beyond. Like that is like the one card where it's like they could do really interesting things, or they'll just follow the crowd.
What if you could? And I'm gonna have you do at least a touch of realism. If you
Sure.
could have this card be anything that you think realistically could happen, so not like 15x everything, right? We're not living in that
No.
fantasy world, but like if you could make your quote perfect Beyond in a realistic way, what would it have, Matt? I'm making you CEO of Wells Fargo for 15 minutes to craft this card.
Damn, so I get to be Charles Schauer for 15 minutes. If I get 15 minutes of his yearly pay, I'll also be happy. Just putting that out
I
there.
don't have that power, but I can let you create the credit card.
Damn. All right. So this card is going to have to be. This card's going to have to be like 550, right? 550. Right. And if they're smart, one of the things that I don't love is like, oh, we're coming into the premium space, but we're coming into the premium space that everybody's leaving, right? And there's a certain rationale to that because, you know, the Sapphire Reserve could go to 695. And so if you want to fill the gap at 550, that makes a certain amount of sense. Mm-hmm. There's also an alternate line of thinking of like, they're going to 695. The Platinum's going even higher. We should just go where Chase is going and just start at 695. But I don't know what a 695 Autograph Beyond looks like. A 550 Autograph Beyond could have a pretty compelling travel credit, and like the Sapphire Reserve could be all in one. Mm-hmm. I think it would be remiss not to put on choice status of some sort. It doesn't have to be the highest status, but it would have to be like that next level down.
Platinum.
Platinum's the next level down.
Platinum's the second to highest, yeah. You get that on the $95 card.
Yeah. I think give it choice Platinum. Give it a consumable credit. There's going to be some sort of coupon credit. I don't know who Wells is going to like partner with that.
Lime, the scooter. They're going to do the scooter.
That's owned by Uber.
Waymo, sure.
The actual yellow New York City cabs are what are the credit you're gonna have.
Bird scooters.
Ooh. In terms of the earning, there's two disparate paths they could go. They could take the Autograph Journey approach of like 5x hotels, 4x airlines, but amp it up to 11 and go like 6 or 7x hotels and 6x airlines outside of the portal. I don't know how sustainable that is. That doesn't feel very sustainable.
That feels like a smartly nerf within 6 months if they did that.
Oh yeah. Have you met people in this community? They'll destroy it.
Yeah,
I did see that. I did see that.
Smartly, yeah. And I do have a Venture X question for you, Josh, after this. So prepare.
I'll count myself.
So I'm going to go 595. I'm going to say they're going to keep about the same elevated hotel and airline earnings. I think they're going to do my perfect card would skip all of the other like 3x dining, 3x other travel, blah, blah, blah. 3x mobile wallet.
That mobile wallet would be sweet.
3x mobile wallet on that card. And 1x everything else. So non-mobile wallet spend is going to be 1x. So you get elevated hotel and airline. You don't get anything other than mobile wallet. 3x mobile wallet. You've got the transfer partners. Now they've got to add more transfer partners.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the Achilles heel of the Wells program at the moment. And then from there, I don't know what else you need to do because like you could do a $300 travel credit, 550 5x hotels, 4x airlines, 3x mobile wallet, 1x everything else. It becomes the everything card. But if you're also in the Wells Fargo ecosystem, all the other cards pair up with it.
No.
Right? Because if you don't have mobile wallet, your minimum is 2. and you don't have a mobile wallet, but it's transit, you have the autograph.
Or do they pull a US bank and make the Beyond its own point system so you can't funnel, so they can do an end around so people aren't putting 1 billion points through the Attune?
Unbelievable.
Look, I'm going to say this right now. If any other bank wants to get drunk as hell and just play 3-card Monty with their reward system, it would be Wells Fargo.
It would be.
But I would want Charles Scharf shot into the Atlantic Ocean as soon as he announces that. Fire the cannon!
So, Josh, there is a debate about the Venture X card that I want to talk to you about. As a known lover and defender of the Venture X, right? No, it's not one of the crazy ones. One of the oddities of the Venture X is it's 2x everything. Yes, there are some portal things. If you go through it, you have elevated hotel, whatever, right? Yeah. But it's a 2x everything card. Do you think at the top end that should be what Capital One continues with as they're going out? Because it feels like they've sort of boxed themselves in, right? Like you have this incredibly powerful card, but it's 2x, and anything else they put around it feels odd in comparison, right? Like it matches well with the Saver, but like there's not a whole lot else you can pair it with, right? Like you can't you can't put it with a Quicksilver because it earns more than a Quicksilver. You can put it with the Saver, but there's nothing else in the offering. Even it's not like Discover's bringing in a whole slew of great cards, right? So should they change the Venture X to have categories and not be a catch-all? Like what are your thoughts on the Venture X's future there?
It's a good question, and one I haven't really paid any attention to because I don't use the Venture X for everyday spend really at all, which probably says a lot about its multipliers. Because like I use like other I have so many catch-all cards. Like I could probably fill an entire wallet just with catch-alls, and like which one am I going to use today? But I think it would be good to add like an airfare multiplier and then take away the catch-all. Just kind of mirror almost like the platinum. Just do whatever it is. Is it 5?
5x?
Yep, just do 5 and then nothing else. And I think that would work great for me at least.
Do you think they would? Because I have a hard time seeing them go from 2 to 1. I could see them do 2 and then 1.5 maybe. I'm sorry, go from 2 to 1.5 and then add like a hotel or airline. I think if they drop it from 2 to 1, people are going to like roast them over the coals.
Yeah, I could see them going to 1.5 and then 5, or like maybe like I don't know, kind of take something like from the business platinum and do 1.5 for select categories, or 1.5 for purchases over X dollars, and then maybe make the threshold lower because it's a personal card. I'm not sure how else they would do it because they have like the Saver has a lot of categories, for trying to like keep people like in, spending on those 2 cards. Like you're missing travel, airfare, I guess, but travel more broadly. Maybe they could do like 3 times travel, all types of travel, and then do like 1.5.
I think if they really wanted to flex on Amex, do 5x airfare, 4x food and grocery, 3x travel and transit, and then like literally do a platinum gold
flex on everyone.
Well, if they did the platinum gold green, right, make it that and then make it a 1x everything else, right? Because at that point you have a lot of things covered. And have it be that card where they're like, why would you have 3 Amex cards when you can have one Cap One card?
That's kind of wild.
Like awesome. That would be like, because here's the thing is like the companies at some point it feels almost like the companies are, we don't want to like, how is there not like a gold card ripoff, right? Like how is there not a green card ripoff or a sapphire reserve? You know what I mean? Like it feels like these companies don't want to step on each other's toes, but also like if you're Cap One, what do you have to lose? Like just go for it. Like
damn thing.
Take a shot at Amex and be like, why have 3 cards when you can just have ours?
I just don't think
Like-
that they care enough to, because they keep. It's so weird. It's so bizarre because they have this like flagship premium card, but they only want to have subprime customers. Like it's so bizarre. Make up your mind, Capital One.
RJ, for your one Capital One Venture X type card that is punching at Amex just mercilessly. What does the annual fee look like on
Yeah,
that
right. Like
card?
1,000.
No, I think the way that Capital One works, because their credit is a portal credit, I think
Yeah.
you could bring it up to 3 or 5. Or I'm sorry, you could bring it up to like a $500 annual fee or even a $550 and just nudge up the portal credit a little bit, because it's not like a general credit, right? Like you can't.
No, it's just a coupon
Yeah.
code.
It's just
Yeah.
a coupon code, right? So they would be able to do something like that. I mean, they're giving you 10,000 points on renewal, but like again, those are sort of, that's kind of fun money for them at that. You know what I mean? Like it's not a huge amount, so I think you could move it up 100 or 150, and like, because you can put, like, here's the thing we don't talk about with categories, like you could just put caps on it. Like you can put a $20,000 cap on each category, or even like a 50,000 combined cap on it. Like you can tell people how many points they can earn off this card if you really wanted to. So I think they could do that. They also don't have the transfer partners of Amex or Chase, right? They don't have a Hyatt or they don't have a Hilton. They have good partners, but they don't have ones that are like a Hyatt, which would be very upset with the flood of points.
I think another thing that they need to do if they did this would be give me another option to cash them out that is not half a cent. Like, have a like actively used Capital One checking account or something to give me one,
Yeah.
or even 0.8, like whatever. Or I don't know if you hold the business Venture X, or the Venture X business card, cash out at 1 or something.
Like Amex does with the business platinum.
Yeah.
Like if you have the business platinum, a business checking account, you can get
Yep.
1 cent per point with Amex.
That's what I did.
I'm not a huge cash out person, but like that, at least,
yeah.
again, you have to pay $700 for the privilege, but it is an option, right? Like it is something you can do.
Yeah, I mean, we did it for to cover the annual fee for the business platinum, and then just buy some more inventory. I also have a reserve that I refused cash out because I still holding out hope that I'll somehow fly some crazy fair class or something.
I have a final question for you, Josh. I put out a video last night. I know you didn't watch it. That's fine. I said that the very worst credit card with American Express, and possibly the worst credit card publicly available on the market, is the Amex Business Green. Would you agree with my assessment that the Amex Business Green is both the worst Amex card and one of the worst publicly available credit cards?
Yeah, it's pretty trash. I mean, it's trash. As our friend Sledge would say.
Matt, would you also agree with that assessment?
Yeah. No, the Business Green is objectively one of the worst credit cards available.
I'll say traditional green is probably down there too.
Traditional green is also way down there. It is very bad. I don't even know what its earnings capability is, but I know it's probably not worth it, especially since you're not earning full membership reward points without paying an extra $40.
Yeah. It's just a way to anchor them, I guess. But also, like, you could just open up like any of the no annual fee MR.
They literally hand out Blue Business Pluses like candy.
Yeah. And that way you don't have to worry about like anything reporting your credit or whatever.
Putting the Amex personal green on the S tier and the Amex business green on the dumpster fire tier was definitely a moment of being like, wow, these cards really are. They share only a name. But
they
even
are polar opposites.
in my mobile wallet, it gives you the old logo for the business green. It doesn't even give you the updated business green. It
Oh.
is the old artwork for that card, which is wild.
It's very
I think Amex
symbolic.
forgets that they have
They're
it.
like, "Oh,
I
this
might
card?"
be the first person in like 6 years to actually apply for the card for
Just
the
like, wait,
elevated sign up.
you have the business green?
Wait, we extended this person a 25,000 point welcome offer for this card? What were we thinking?
Yeah. I got approved for it twice. The first time I said no, and then the second time I'm just like, I really want these 25,000 points.
Wait,
so
actually,
guess what?
no, I don't want it.
Yeah, Matt finally bullied me into it because I had opened the application so many
Yeah.
times and told him I opened the application so many times that finally he told me just apply. You're going to keep opening it. So
What's the annual fee on it?
it's really Matt's fault that I got the business screen.
95.
So you're basically like in the negative?
No, it's 25,000 Amex points for
Oh,
the
right,
card.
right.
So
Okay,
it'll be
you're on the phone.
28,000 after the spend because it's 3,000 in spend. But
Got
the
it.
employee cards they were offering me are 4,000 spend for 15,000 points. So it didn't make sense to open an employee card for more
Yeah.
spend and less points.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess you come out a little bit ahead after you take away the annual fee, and then you can banish
Well,
it to oblivion.
With her welcome offer, it was 28,000 points after 3,000 spend. If you had done another employee card, it would be 23,000 points after 4,000 in spend.
Yeah. So 5,000 points difference, and I got the clawbacks after all of my travel got ended
yeah,
because of my
sad.
grandmother. So I was sitting on like I have 56,000 at the moment. I had 350,000, so it's it's the
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah,
But no,
gotta get more.
yeah, we do appreciate it, Josh. This was very, very fun. I'm sorry, Keith,
indeed.
we're not hitting 3 hours tonight. But we do want to thank Josh for being on. I know you're almost out of time, so I didn't want to be remiss in thanking you for being on our program this evening.
Well, thank you for having me, guys. This was very fun. A little different than usual, and also a first time on YouTube in a few months. So this was fun.
This
Hey,
is our wellness
anytime-
check to make sure you're alive. So
Yes,
you know,
I'm not AI. I am still alive.
No, anytime you want to pop in on the lives, like just let us know. We are more than accommodating. We could do another sci-fi series draft if you want in the future. I don't know how a Babylon 5 draft would go very well. If a Babylon 5 draft would work very well.
I don't know anything about it.
I haven't seen it in a very long time.
Yeah. But no, we definitely appreciate you taking the time. We appreciate that you're still checking in on the Stack Your Points Discord. Yeah, no, we appreciate the time that you gave us tonight, and hopefully we'll see you soon. But we know life is lifing, but just wanted to give you a break from life.
And it is much appreciated. This was fun, and I didn't have to think about LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yeah. Having been in similar circumstances, I needed a better outlet than I did in my past.
We are always here to talk nerdy things,
Yes.
sports, nerd things. You'll have fantasy football to prepare for in a few months. So we will have another Stack Your Points fantasy football league.
Yep. All right. Well, Josh, thanks. RJ, we're gonna keep going.
We can. I'm open for it.
No.
Alrighty. Well, adios, and have a good rest of the stream.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Enjoy your night.
So what credit card things do you want to talk about, Matt, now that we're talking actual credit cards again?
I just posted a video about Mesa, which is weird.
You did. And they have they have newer transfer partners than Wells Fargo.
They do. They're also they're doing something they're doing something interesting where you have to redeem in at least 1,000 points, but you can just tack on in increments of 100 after that first 1,000. So it's sort of a hybrid between like what you get with Chase and American Express, well, like non-Qantas American Express and JetBlue American Express, where you can do 1,000, but now you can do like 1,100. Like it, if they have Accor as their hotel transfer partner, which is a choice, not necessarily like the partner I would go for at first, but if they are the only one who now gets to say that they can do the pure 1.5 to 1, as opposed to Bilt, who has to do 3 to 2. They also added Hainan Airways, which is a choice. They also went very Asia heavy with the rest of their transfer partnerships. So to cover Star Alliance, they've got Air India. You would have thought like Turkish or Avianca or Aeroplan would have been the first ones to jump on with Star Alliance. With One World, they went with Royal Thai, which is again a choice.
I mean, could it just be like the other ones are like, no, we have our bunch of partners. We don't need your weird like homeowners credit card, because it feels like they got the partners they could get. They didn't get the partners they could want.
It definitely gives off that vibe. I'm curious to see like how Air France takes on everybody, right? Air France says yes to everyone. British Airways says yes to everyone. They're launching without Air France and British Airways. Like, what was the conversation that led to no Air France for SkyTeam and no British Airways for One World? They also covered One World with Finnair. So it's not like, so I think like British Airways like passed the phone over to their Finnish counterparts and just said like, y'all take care of this. Except they wouldn't say y'all.
They crossed the North Sea and floated out to Finland.
Yeah. And then for SkyTeam, Mesa has added Vietnam Airlines White Lotus program, which I couldn't tell you anything about what your point redemptions will look like, what your aggregate points, the cent per point is going to look like with any of these airlines right now, because they're so far off the beaten path. But I will say it is interesting to see, just because like I was waiting to see what Mesa would do for transfer partners. And I like that they got some One World partners. I like that they covered all of the alliances. Well, they went more obscure than Wells Fargo did.
They did,
which is hilarious. But they covered the alliances first, and they got a non-alliance partner who has at least some interesting relationships with like Alaska Airlines. I think Aegean is another code share with Hainan. I forgot the rest of them with Hainan off the top of my head, but they went in a direction where it's like you probably could get some pretty solid value here, but they didn't just take Bilt on directly. They're not trying to go after Bilt immediately.
Yeah.
Which I think was the safe play.
Yeah. I wonder, sort of, as the partnerships develop, they don't really have, they have the one hotel partner, but it's not a major hotel. I do wonder if it may be harder, like getting a Hilton, getting a Marriott, getting even a Hyatt or whatever. Like those are hard to get. Like, are they gonna like pull out a Best Western or something? You know what I mean? Like they're gonna have to go obscure, because like that's the hard part of being a new card right now, right? Or a new company for credit cards, is like a lot of the major players are already spoken for. And like Hilton's not getting into bed with most other people. They were or are still on Bilt. But I don't know how eager they would be to repeat that experiment, right? Like they and Amex have a good thing going.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that develops going forward. Like, of the brands that you launch with, Accor is interesting, but Accor is not a huge hotel brand in the United States.
Right.
But they do have like Fairmonts and high-end hotels like in New York City, in I want to say San Francisco, maybe Washington. Either way, like they've got a few properties, but they don't have even the footprint that Hyatt has in the United States, right? But you don't want to get caught where, you know, Best Western has some interesting properties that are not like the Best Western, but how many people know about those properties and how easy are those properties to book? Because I found there was a hotel when I was at the creator meetup in New Orleans. There was a hotel just down the street from the Eliza Jane, a Hyatt property that I stayed at. It was called the St. Christopher Hotel. It was a Best Western, and it was the fanciest ever Best Western I'd ever seen. So, like, how often does Best Western get to like highlight those properties? I don't know.
It feels like, though, if you're Best Western, you want a partnership where you can start pushing out the St. Christopher's, versus right now they don't really have any major partnerships where they can highlight these different options.
Yeah, if you're Best Western and you want to highlight like the St. Christopher and equivalent sort of hotels, I don't know the rest of their boutique hotels. I just noticed the St. Christopher. I laughed a little when I saw that it was a Best Western, and I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. My partner's mother, she has a Best Western credit card. She has chosen Best Western to be her to hotels. It's fine. She drives on the road. It is what it is. But like Best Western would be better suited going after Wells Fargo first than Mesa. Or like lining up with, not necessarily Bilt, but like lining up with one of the other credit card issuers first as like let's transfer our points. So we'll see. I'm interested to see what Mesa does next, just because like Finnair is interesting. Can you get like British Airways in to complete the rest of the Avios? Because if you can get 4 of the 5 Avios programs or 4 of the 6 Avios programs, that would be good. I want to see what hotel chain they do next, because like I don't know how many people are going to. It's the cheapest way to get a core points, but like there are other systems that you can do a core.
Yeah.
And more well-known systems that you can do a core. So
no, I want more weird credit cards. The problem is weird credit cards coming from not Amex, Chase, even like a Cap One, Wells Fargo. Like it's hard, right? Like Bilt has the connection with Wells Fargo, but they're not, like, other than being on the website, like there's not a strong tie really. Like neither side can tell you who handles their customer support. You can't call Bilt, right? Like, so they're sort of tied in some back end stuff, but not in a way that most people, if you asked what company is tied with Bilt, I don't know if most people would know it's Wells Fargo, for example, right? Like it's not a connection the way, like if you said what card has Hyatt or what card has Hilton, most people in the credit card game will be able to tell. Even people outside of the credit card game might be able to tell you that.
Yeah. This is the sort of card, like it's a weird card. I'm intrigued by what this card will be going forward, because it's one-time points on mortgage where you don't pay your mortgage with the card. You just attach your mortgage into their system, and like you can shop for a mortgage or refinance through like their mortgage shopping platform, which is a little weird, but like if you want your mortgage points and like your current bank doesn't do it, but another bank that they're affiliated with will, that's a way to like draw you in as a customer.
Right.
1x points on mortgage, you have to spend $1,000 on the card. They don't care how many transactions it takes to do $1,000. You need to do $1,000 on the card, which is better than Bilt's 5 transactions, because Bilt messed up when they did that because they didn't anticipate that someone would just go buy 5 bananas.
Yeah. I do wonder with Bilt if it's going to become where it's, all right, you have to do 5 transactions. They each have to be $20, or they each have to be $25, or you have to do X number of transactions a month. I do wonder how long before that changes in sort of a fundamental way, just because of all of the changes they're making and the abuse they're seeing.
So Lonnie and I talked about this. This will be on Lonnie's Monday membership, and sorry if I'm spoiling it here on the live, but we've got 12 people, so you're 12 of our closest friends at the moment. Lonnie and I talked about this, where like Built, and I pitched this, so my idea. The way to Built could fix things is Built could bring back the kicker from the Everyday and the Everyday Preferred, where they change to like a 2x flat earning card, right? You make X number of transactions per month on the card. You then go from 2x to 2.5x for the remainder of the month. If you find your way up to Built Silver is still going to give you that portion. So Built Blue and Silver are effectively the same status level. Is what it is, whatever. Silver, you're going to get more with your transfer bonuses. Fine. When you get to Built Gold, it becomes 2.5x flat earning, and you'll get a kicker after that, after however many transactions. And then Built Platinum would be 3x flat. Now you're bringing their statuses into play. Now you're getting elevated earnings based on the amount of money that you're spending with Built, like the number of transactions you're doing with Built. You're bringing back the kicker example, which is something that like was very underutilized by American Express, but I think every issuer could benefit from.
Well, here's the thing with American Express. Like, they're doing all of these credits to get you to use the cards. Like, that's what the cards credits are for, right? Like, to get you to swipe the card, to get you to use it. If they put the kicker on the Platinum, and like if you do 20 transactions, you get 1.5 on your Platinum. If you do 30 transactions, you get 2. Like, that would make people take the Platinum out of their sock drawer and actually use the Platinum as a credit card, which is exactly what American Express wants. And they wouldn't have to worry about like making it an actual multiplier or put mobile wallet or whatever on, because they could say that each transaction has to be at least $10. Like, it's Amex, they're going to put a stipulation on it, like, and people would actually do that.
I think rewarding using your card more is better than forcing credits to use your card more. Question from Rodrigo, who says, it feels like every week there's a big devaluation. Do you think things will ever devalue so bad that almost every hotel airline reward program will be like Marriott?
Here's the thing. My problem with Marriott is not points per room. My problem with Marriott is that their statuses under like ambassador are meaningless. Like, the problem with Marriott is if you have Platinum, which is the 3 of 5, you don't really have status at all. Like, that to me is the bigger problem with Marriott than how many points it takes to stay. Personally.
Like, and yes, there are folks who can get better, who have gotten like good upgrades at Titanium, have gotten good upgrades at Gold, have gotten good upgrades at Platinum, but like that from what you read and what it looks like from the outside, that is the exception and not the norm. Whereas like with status, that should be the norm and not the exception. When it comes to like reading about hotels that don't honor status whatsoever, Marriott seemed to come up the most with that. And then like Marriott will do things like put up a board that shows how many of their folks with each status are staying at the hotel that night. Okay, great. But like that Gold person may have been entitled to a room. Like, did the person with Platinum actually get the room that they're entitled to for that night? Did the person with Titanium get the room that they were entitled to that night? Is the person with Platinum going to get their breakfast benefit? So like the Marriott devaluations, like the reward, the points per room is a bit of a pain, is a bit of a pain point, but like the bigger pain point is just like their status doesn't feel meaningful generally, which is not great. In terms of the point per room, like you can be very selective. You can utilize fifth night free, and you can get 1.2 cents per point. That is also the exception, not the norm. Like for most people, you're going to be getting between 0.6 and 0.8. I think the current aggregate right now is pegged at like 0.76 or 0.77, which not great, but like you'd want to see more. but again, it's like the biggest footprint, the biggest availability. My other issues is just like what Marriott's doing with Studio Res, where you're only going to make 4 cents per point and nothing is honored at Studio Res. Like, I don't want to see Hyatt and Hilton produce new brands of hotels that will get you limited earnings compared to the rest of the hotel system and not respect your status.
Yeah.
That is a bigger problem to me.
And I think Double Double hit it in terms of like, they're the biggest hotel chain in the world. So they don't have to, like, the thing is, Hilton is almost as big. They're not as big, but they're almost as big, but they seem to take the opposite approach, right? Like, both approaches have their merits. Both approaches make the companies literally billions of dollars. It's just a different approach. Do I think if Hilton was as big as Marriott and they switched spots, Hilton would completely change? No, but they wouldn't have the pressure on them to do what they do. So I do wonder how much is just like Marriott is very much like Chase and they're the biggest. So why necessarily change things? It's working. They are the biggest. So why change things? And
for
I
Marriott,
think,
they don't have to.
Right. And like Marriott also, a lot of, it's a hard conversation to have because we don't have very good data points on it. And B, it's just hard to track of like, if you're spending a lot of time in Marriott's because you're a business traveler and you're not the one who's actually putting the money up for it, right? If you're, on the road all of the time and you're not actually paying for it, like you might feel entitled to it and you might be entitled to it because your status, right? But your company is paying for it and Marriott knows that. So like, they don't necessarily need to please you. They just need to be the preferred booker of your business. And that is something that you as the individual don't necessarily have control. Sometimes you might. Sometimes you might get a choice of 3 hotels and you get to pick the one you want. Sometimes your company is just booking you in a hotel. And if they've got a, deal with Marriott, they're just going to book you in a Marriott. It doesn't matter if that's what you want necessarily. So they have that benefit, right? They have that business benefit. They have that size benefit.
Yep. Also, I made a mistake. Apparently, Thai Airways is Star Alliance. All right. Well, everyone's Star Alliance.
There you go.
Shut up.
But yeah, I think Marriott's not going to change until something seismic happens. And I don't really see anything truly like even COVID, like COVID didn't really change Marriott. So I can't really see, like, Hilton is growing and they want to keep making money, but they don't seemingly, it's sort of like Amex and Chase. Like they need each other to stay relatively consistent so they can also stay relatively consistent. Like, I don't think Amex is chomping at the bit to be in Chase's shoes. So I think they have the ability to sort of just coexist in a world where they're doing things differently and they're both happy with that difference.
Yeah, one gets to be Apple, one gets to be Google, but they still control 90% of the market,
right?
Collectively. Double asks, do you preferentially use certain cards for travel protections? Major travel, I'll book through my Sapphire Preferred, but now I have to be careful because points bookings don't necessarily count with my Sapphire Preferred. No, I'm sorry. Sapphire
I'm sorry,
Reserve.
You have what card now? Is this
Sapphire
breaking
Reserve.
news that you have the preferred?
No, that is Hudson North talking that I have the Sapphire Preferred. No, I have the Sapphire Reserve. The Sapphire Reserve now is mostly going to be cash and points bookings through the Chase portal. Like if you're using Chase points through the portal, they're going to honor your full ticket. Whereas if I'm using points to book a flight and I just pay the $560, I'll be entitled to the $560. So if I'm paying full cash, Sapphire Reserve is going to play a bigger factor. What I'm more likely to do if I'm paying points is also like tack on whatever Allianz insurance if I feel like insurance is necessary. Throw that on and like pay for it afterwards in cash and just go from there. So travel protections are less card specific now, given like knowing Chase's knowing Chase's terms and conditions on that, and like them not changing, but them clarifying the terms and conditions last year.
My view of credit card travel protections is I absolutely do not depend on them in any way, shape, or form, and have either alternative protections if I so desire, or just don't. Like, I have liability insurance. Like, I don't need liability insurance through my credit card, right? Like, if something happens, like if the plane doesn't take off from my regional airport, like, I'll deal with it. Like, I have the platinum. I use the platinum to book things, but I also use the green to book things because that's the one that gives me, the protection there. I use the Hilton card to book Hiltons. So, it's not something I depend on. I will buy the insurance if I feel like I need to buy the insurance. I won't buy the insurance sometimes. It really depends. I read all of the declarations pages on all of the insurance policies I buy, and I know what they do and do not cover. So I have a level of comfortability of not buying it and knowing what I'm not buying. So I'll say that much.
That makes sense. Double followed up with, or would you if, say, the CSR and Platt didn't have their elevated travel airline multipliers? Again, with the CSR, if their insurance covered me through points bookings, that would be a different story. If I'm utilizing points, I'm probably going to tack on Allianz insurance afterwards, just if I feel I need it. Rental cars will be a bit of a different story. I don't know what I'll do there specifically, but if you have liability insurance, you're pretty good. You're pretty well set. And states that require liability, RJ and I happen to live in a state that requires liability, so there's that. There are other states that require it, like Minnesota and some others.
Almost every state requires you to have liability insurance if you have a car. There are very, very few states that do not require that. New Hampshire is one of them, though.
Well, I mean, New Hampshire barely wants you to wear a helmet when you.
They actually don't think they require you to wear a helmet. But no, here's the thing on insurance. Just seeing that you have travel protection on a splash screen on the Amex website doesn't mean anything. As Matt has said in the Discord a lot, like, large language models are really good at some things. Some things, like, put in your deck page for something and ask it to explain it to you. Like, because it's just pulling from that deck page, right? It's not pulling from the internet at that point. It is reading that document and telling you what it says. So, you can go to the passage because it'll tell you what it highlighted. Use that. Understanding your insurance is something that is very, very important in life and something more people need to do.
Yeah. And with large language models, you can tell it to summarize it in a way that tailors it to you.
Yeah.
Eventually, I should probably do a video on this, like large language models and credit cards, like making your life better. One of the few places where large language models can make your life better is reading through terms and conditions and breaking them down to a level that you're comfortable with. Like, you may have gotten that for your degree and like used to study at a certain level, but like times change, and not everybody like reads and researches the way that they did in college. So you could have it, spit it out to you at a 10th grade level if you want. You could have it read and summarize it for you at a 12th grade level, or as like a second year law student if you want, depending on what your preference is. It is a way to make it so that you'll understand it.
Yeah.
So one of the few cases where like I'm pro large language model is taking information that is purposely complexly written by the banks and insurance companies and everyone else. Not to rag on insurance, RJ. I'm sorry.
I would say it's specifically written. I wouldn't say it's complex to make it complex. I would say it has to be specific, so it's made specific. Yeah.
But taking that very specific language and converting it into something that someone who's not trained in the specificity, can understand.
Yeah.
They can also make nice logos, which we're starting to use for our lives and stuff like that. Yes. But
very
beyond that, like, there's other things about like Midjourney and Stable Diffusion and ChatGPT where I'm like, I don't know that I want to do that. So Rodrigo asks, what are your thoughts on the no lifetime language Amex links that usually pop up from time to time? They're tempting, but not sure how risky they are.
Know your
So
source.
yeah, here's what I'll say. If you get a offer from American Express and you read through the offer from American Express that is sent directly to you, whether it is through your offers tab on the American Express app or through your offers tab on the American Express website, and it is directed to your account, it says, earn however many thousands of points on this amount of spend, and it is to you, and it does not say the magic words that highlight that it would be lifetime language, you're probably fine.
Yeah.
Go forth and be fruitful and spend your $5,000 to $20,000, depending on what card you're getting offered this no lifetime language. If you are hunting online for a no lifetime language offer, then you're going to Danny the Deal Guru, you're going to Frequent Miler, you're going to the Churning subreddit, you're going to the Manufactured Spend subreddit, you're going to various Discords. Now, everyone that may have a link available to you is probably working in the best of intentions. In no way am I going to say that the folks are operating maliciously. However, if they're offering you links that are targeted specifically to them, and you use their link that is targeted to them, it may run afoul of what American Express is looking for from this particular link, from this particular offer, in whatever particular application. So sent to you, go forth, my friend. Utilizing from various websites, just know that you are taking a risk. May end up in pop-up jail, may not end up in pop-up jail, may be fine, may not be fine, may end up in a financial review. I don't know. The safest no lifetime language links are the ones that are sent directly to you. That's kind of all I have there.
It's also going to depend on your book with Amex, right? Like if you have 6 Amex cards and you've had them for years and you pay them all the time and everything is good between you and Amex, then you're more likely to be fine. If you have 1 card or 17 cards, right, and you have gotten some interest put on your account through various reasons or whatever, more likely for review, right? So it sort of is going to depend on your relationship with Amex. And how much you value Amex if something goes wrong and you get shut down for a little while.
Yeah.
So depends.
Tread lightly.
Yeah. I would be careful about them in general.
You'd also want to be careful about folks who use manipulated chase links going out, where Churning will mention if you use /R22 instead of /Q22, that's going to unlock the new welcome offer that is elevated. Chase may or may not honor that going forward. I know that I have mentioned that there were links out there that turned out to not necessarily be the cleanest of links.
Yeah.
We all get caught up in it from time to time. Yeah. Double mentions be careful of hacked links. Yep. That's why I don't go to US card forms for any sort of elevated link before it becomes publicly official, or any referral link before it becomes publicly official.
Though, if you do want a link to the 100,000 point offer for the Sapphire Preferred, Matt and I both have links in the referral on the Stack Your Points Discord. Dugrass also has a link in there. So if you want, go forth. If you don't want, don't go forth. That is all I am going to say on links.
Yep. Much appreciated if you do, but if you don't, that's fine. I feel like everyone in the Stack Your Points, everyone who watches Stack Your Points and listens to Stack Your Points who is in the credit card game, not new to the credit card game, they're somewhere in the 48-month cycle waiting for their next Sapphire.
Yes, I am. Yeah, it's kind of hard to be in credit cards because either you come into credit cards and you're like, oh, I've got to get one of the Sapphires because that's what every YouTube video tells me, or you just need a card to get your chase points out, right? It's really kind of hard to, unless you're using the Freedom or whatever for cashback, it's really hard to be in the credit card game without a Sapphire.
Yep. And part of my ennui with the Sapphire Preferred is that it's a $95 service fee that like isn't a compelling card to use outside of just being move my points.
But so here's what I would ask, right? Like, would you just rather Chase take $95? Like, yes, but it's not a bad, like, I have the card. It's not a terrible card. It's not as good as it could be, but it's not a bad card. You just wish it was different, which is a different, like, I wish that the Red Sox hit more home runs, but they're not designed to do that. So, like, I can only be so mad that they're not hitting them.
I mean, keeping Tyler O'Neill would have helped with that.
Yeah, well, we're not talking about that right now.
Weiler Abreu can do it. But yes, no, I certainly understand your point. If it was a better card, I would feel better about paying 95 or in the future 150. Because the Sapphire Reserve can at least be like an everyday dining card and it can cover everything on travel at the same rate. Like, I'm okay with the 550 on that because of everything else that it can provide for me. The Sapphire Preferred, like, I just like, it's good, it's fine, but there's a card at no annual fee that does everything it does, and like the economics be what the economics may be. Like, Chase is the biggest bank in the world. They could offer a better card at 95.
But it's like the Marriott example. Why would that?
They don't need to.
Like, people sign up for that card all the time who like that card. Like, I have it. It's not my favorite card in the world. I'm keeping it for another year. My view on Chase and me long term, I haven't decided. Like, I do want the IHG card. I don't know once I get the IHG card if that will be the end of like my Freedom Unlimited and my Sapphire, because once I get the IHG card, why do I have cards just to pull things to IHG?
Right.
So it's very possible that's the end of my Sapphire Prefer having life.
Yeah.
Or I just put it up as a reserve for a year and then I have all 3 major travel cards for a year just to say that I did it.
Yes. There are folks who do that. I'm not going to be one of them, but whatever floats your boat there. The double. To play devil's advocate, could you argue that you need to pay for Chase to maintain their relationships with travel partners and the architecture they maintain? Sapphire Preferred annual fee.
If the $95 that I'm about to pay Chase for their Sapphire Preferred is the only thing keeping Hyatt at Chase and Hyatt's not there for other reasons, then I have concerns.
Yeah. Like, Built can do it at no annual fee. Like, and I understand that Built is doing it primarily with VC money before VC money became like funny money for crypto scams. And you can try to convince me otherwise, but nope. They got Hyatt, they got United, they got a good number of Chases, they got IHG, they got Marriott. Like, they were able to get major Chase partners that Chase had exclusively, and they're able to do it with the same structure of the card and no annual fee. So, like, what is Chase? What am I paying Chase for if it's to maintain these relationships? If these relationships have signed on, now, granted, it's VC funding money primarily, and like some money from Wells Fargo. What am I paying Chase for if I can go get it for free?
I do wonder how long, like in 18 months, what is Built Transfer Partners going to look like? Because those contracts are going to be, a lot of those contracts are going to be up in the next 18 months. Does Hilton stay on? Does Hyatt stay on? Does United stay on?
Hilton
Delta is leaving Amex when hell freezes over and we all start ice skating. Right.
Hilton's, I'm sure Hilton signed a 3-year agreement. So Hilton's on till at least 2026. And Hilton's probably fine with their Built relationship because Hilton is 1 MR point to 2 Hilton points with Built, it's 1-to-1. Like they're making bank. They're fine.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I didn't realize it was 1-to-1.
It's so Hyatt is 1-to-1 with Built, Hilton is 1-to-1 with Built, Marriott is 1-to-1 with Built, IHG is 1-to-1 with Built. So Built covered all of Chase's transfer partners at hotels at 1-to-1. Accor is 1.5-to-1, but it's done in a 3-to-2 fashion. Like you have to be either like seriously topping up or absolutely new to the game, and you can make mistakes in this game very easily. Like one of the biggest mistakes you can make early on would be transferring Built points to Hilton at 1-to-1.
So here's what I will say about that, right? And this is a thing I advocate for, or this is a thing I talk about, and sometimes people agree and sometimes they don't, right? I don't think it's a mistake if you know what you're doing.
Right.
If I transfer MR points to Delta occasionally, mostly to top up, but occasionally I'll just do whatever I'm doing, right? I know what I'm doing. Like,
right.
Say what you want about my strategy, but at this point of my credit card life, I know what I'm doing with my points, right? I don't think you can say that I'm being an idiot, and we're going to disagree on that, but like you can't say that I'm doing it naively. And I think that's something that we need to, as a community, parse out of. Sometimes people just do things that you wouldn't do, and maybe not mathematically the most prudent thing with their points, but it's not a mistake. They're not doing it unknowingly. They're not doing it unwillingly. Now, do I think that most people want to go to Hyatt or go to Hilton at 1-to-1? No. But if the only card I have in my wallet is my Built card, and that's like the one credit card I have, or maybe I have a Chase card, so I can't go to Hilton in that manner. Like, it's not a mistake at that point. It's a choice. I do think if you don't know what you're doing and you're doing it not realizing that another company can be 1-to-2, that's different. But like I've moved Cap One points to Choice because that was the partner I could get the points out of Cap One with, right? Like when I get my 10,000 on renewal, I'll probably go to Choice because I don't have another partner with Cap One that I really like at this point, right? So I think we need. I understand what you're saying. This is not a Matt is wrong comment. This is more of a generalized comment to the community, but like, it's not a mistake if you know what you're doing.
So what my theory would presuppose would be that you don't know what you're doing and you're just doing Built to Hilton, right? If you're new in the game and you've stayed at Hilton in the past and you're not aware of like Hilton cards yet, and you don't know Amex transfers 1-to-2, but you got the Built card because you're paying rent and whatever. Like that's a question of naivety, right? If you're someone who knows what they're doing and like, I'm only 1,000 points away from this booking I want to do. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me to buy the Hilton points. Yes, Hilton points are generally cheap, but let's say you're not in the 100% bonus cycle. It's that 1 month a year where you're not in that 100% bonus cycle, right? Because they basically run it every month. If you're in that time frame, like topping up with Built makes sense. And I'm not gonna, and like if Built is doing a rent day transfer bonus to Hilton, which they have done before and they will probably do in the future, like if they're doing a rent day transfer bonus, that's one thing. If you just need 1,000 points, sure, do the 1,000 points. It's fine.
Yeah, but I do think that as the community, we need to be more specific with our gripes. Like, because, again, this is not anybody listening. This is not me picking on Matt thing. He has listened to my rants about this before and after episodes of Stack Your Points. But like, it is a thing where like if we're gonna complain, we need to complain specifically. We need not be like needlessly general about our complaints.
Double with a good point. People eviscerate folks on Reddit for getting half a cent per point redemption. Meanwhile, there are people flying cash with no loyalty program membership. Better to at least get a redemption than none at all. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna sign up if you're flying United all the time and you're not picking up United miles on the flights on like your second, third, fifth flight with United, your first flight, fine, whatever. But like, if you like your experience with United and United is something you want to continue doing, it would make more sense to sign up, become a Mileage Plus member, start getting those miles, start getting that recognition of your flights, get Mileage Plus Silver, get Mileage Plus Gold, get Premier 1K. There's a Premier Platinum in between. Sorry, but like, get your statuses, get your flights recognized. Right. Not signing up for the loyalty program is definitely a mistake.
I mean, one of the first things I did with my parents, sort of, as I became more serious about all of this, is they both got Delta accounts, right?
Yep.
Like, and because I am the family, as most of us are, I am the family travel planner, right? So when I book through my account, but when I put their names in, their Delta numbers go with it. So they're getting the miles from their flight. And that makes it really easy, right? Like, they have, their 20,000 or 10,000 or however many miles they have in their accounts that, like, we might be able to do something with at some point. So you don't have to worry about it. And like, they're not going to care about the redemption. They're just like, oh, I don't have to pay for this flight. Like, they're not going to care. No, like, I'm not going to steer them into a bad redemption, right? Like, I'm not going to do a $300 and 40,000 point instead of a 50,000 point flight, right? Like, I wouldn't do that. But it becomes a thing where, like, people want those perfect redemptions so much that they shame other people, but the person doing the shaming is not also taking trips. Like, if you haven't taken a trip in 6 months because you're waiting for this perfect redemption, and somebody got to take a trip and enjoyed it and like was with their family, and they got a redemption that you think is bad, like, why the hell should I listen to you? You haven't left your house in 6 months, or haven't like left your county in 6 months or whatever. Like, so I think I think people get so judgmental because they see these YouTube videos of going to the Maldives for like $15 and don't realize that, like, travel, like, to physically travel is the goal in most cases. So, like, go, enjoy, have fun.
Still gonna pay $1,500 to get that final flight to the Maldives.
Matt, that's not part of the dream, Matt. Matt, I have a challenge for you, Matt, as we head towards the exit. I have a challenge. I want to see you do a parody video of what a Matt Clausen trip to the Maldives looks like. I really want the parody video of Matt Clausen's vacation to the Maldives. I would very much like to see what that looks like.
First of all, I have to figure out the positioning flights to where I'm going to position to the Maldives, because it would make the most sense to fly to, like, oh god, what is a coastal Indian city? Goa. I'd like have to figure out a flight to Goa from where I am. Am I going east by way of over the Atlantic and then like that way, which would require me to like fly JFK to Doha or JFK to Abu Dhabi and then Abu Dhabi to Goa and then take the $1,500 flight to the Maldives, for which I'm probably staying 2 nights because that's all I could afford with my Hilton points and my free night certificate that I just happen to be tacking on for whatever reason.
I was in the Maldives for 15 minutes because that's what I could afford between the flights to the Maldives and away from the Maldives. I want to see what the Matt Clausen Maldives video looks like.
Oh god. I'm gonna have to do some research on that one. Rodrigo mentions would definitely like to see a Stack Your Points live from the Maldives. RJ and I are probably not going due to reasons.
Look, I burn indoors. Do you really want to put me in a coastal sunny location? I feel like that is cruel and unusual punishment. I burn inside, guys. I'm not even joking. Like, that's not a euphemism. I burn in the doors.
Even better, how about stack your points camping in the Maldives? I'm not sure they'd allow you to camp in the Maldives, but
Yeah, I also don't know if like
it would be
I
hilarious to watch Tariq put up a tent, though.
it would be very funny to watch Tariq put up a tent. I'm gonna say this. I enjoy all of my Stack Your Points co-hosts. I spend a lot of time talking to them, a lot of time recording with them. I don't know if the four of us could vacation together and Stack Your Points survive the other side of it. Because we are four very different people when it comes to how we vacation, how we get from point A to point B, how we stay when we get into a location. Now, do I believe we could all four independently get to a city, stay at four probably different hotels, meet up for dinner or an event, go back to our different hotels, and then fly to our different locations? Yes, we could do that. But if we had to jointly do any sort of vacationing together or pre-planning together about like we're going to stay in the same hotel, I don't know if there would be a podcast after this event was done. That's we have four very different points of view. Tariq would want a Hilton.
No,
That would probably not work for the rest of us.
he would
You
want
know,
to hire the Hilton or IHG.
Lonnie would want the Intercontinental.
Yep.
Though that's mostly work for him. He has said, I have Intercontinental Ambassador that I gotta find a good use for that certificate that I'm looking very forward to. Oh, here's a question. This is the last question of the night, Matt. I have the last question for you.
All right.
Should the other reward programs have something like Intercontinental Ambassador, where you could just buy status, get a couple of perks, and then call it a day? Like if I could buy, because Hilton Gold you can buy in like 6 credit cards, so like that's an easy one. But like,
yeah, Hilton wouldn't benefit from this, just because Hilton Gold is $150. You can find, if you like Hiltons, you can find $150. That one's pretty easy. I don't believe that such a program, like such a purchased status, would go very well with Marriott.
they wouldn't spit on you as you walk through the door. That's the new status.
That's the difference. Okay. Oh boy. So I think it would be interesting for Marriott. I don't think Marriott, like, it gets you much more with Marriott than like Marriott
For
Gold status anyway.
$50,000 you can have ambassador.
I mean, sure, because you got to spend $23,000 at Marriott anyway, and spend 100 nights. So, I think the only other like major program that would benefit from something like that would be Hyatt, but Hyatt's footprint is so small that I don't know like where you're going to get away with doing it.
I mean, if they did it like $300, you get, what's the second from the top?
Explorist.
You get Explorist for a year for $300, and you get one night at like a Cat 6.
I would probably sign up for something like that. I also would spend $350 annually on a credit card that did that. Like, yeah. I want that higher tier credit card before they do like Renta Explorist.
Yeah, but I you know what? I'm staying at an IHG this weekend. I'm very excited. So we'll see. Well, I got a call tomorrow and see if I can get early check-in and late checkout, because unlike Hilton, they do not have, as far as I can see from the app, the same chat features. One thing I will say, Hilton, that digital check-in with Hilton, I miss it on every other program.
Oh, the chat features that you get with Hilton, like,
yeah,
hey, my room needs X. Like, we'll just send it right out.
Yep. Yeah, Hilton does the digital side really well compared to the others.
Yeah, Hyatt isn't too bad. I just haven't like said to Hyatt, hey, I need X, Y, and Z. Can you send it to my room?
I think you need to stay at a Hyatt and check it out and see if it works.
Yeah. I mean, there's a chat feature in there, and like I've chatted before, but like I think I chatted about like getting late checkout approved, and that was about it. But yeah, the chat feature in Hilton is definitely tops, though.
The IHG app I really, really like. Overall, though, it's a much better app than I thought it would be the first time I logged into it. So
IHG app is pretty solid. The Hyatt app is okay. It's not like it doesn't blow your socks off. The Hilton app is fine. The Hilton app's pretty good. The Marriott app is fine, and the Accor app, from what I've seen, is fine. But like again, there aren't the closest Accor to me is a Fairmont on Manhattan.
the Choice wasn't bad. The Choice app isn't bad.
No, it's not bad.
But anyway, well, we hit 2.5 hours. I don't think we're gonna make it to 3.
No,
So
tonight.
shall we call it now, Matt?
I think we can call it now. We will see what next week brings. But Keith, we got to 2.5, so round up.
We're 2:35, so we're on the other side of the 35.
Round up. Nope, we did our Star Trek draft. Star Trek draft was great. Special thanks to Josh Giebel for joining us for the Star Trek draft. He was, when we came up with the concept, he was the one and only name we had in mind. We'll try to get Tariq back for next week. We knew he wouldn't be joining us for the Star Trek draft. It was fine. But we will talk, credit cards, we'll talk news, we'll talk whatever on these. So join us next week at 8:30. Look forward to everyone joining us for that. We will hopefully have some more credit card news next week. It has just been a dry week. Like when I open up the churning subreddit at like 8:00 in the morning and there's no posts whatsoever, I'm like, okay, it's going to be a very slow day. And it was. But we appreciate you guys hanging around. There's still 9 people in the chat, so thank you so much for sticking around with us. I know our peak was around 15, 20 people. So we look forward to doing this again next week for you guys. Check us out on the Stack Your Points channel. We have videos dropping tomorrow for the Q&A for this week. We have our main show on Wednesdays, and you can download the full show on the podcatcher of your choice on Saturdays. So thanks as always. Talk to you soon. Have a good night. And we wait for the stream to end.